at survivormax.com.
You're 6 minutes away from a live episode of Free Talk Live, brought to you by
freekeen.com.
Listen live at freetalklive.com.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Thursday, September 20th, 2018. Silver is trading at $14.31 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,208 per ounce. Zen is trading at $15, and the average price of Bitcoin is $6,432. Antiwar.com reports on Wednesday, South Korean President Moon Jae-in and North Korea's Kim Jong-un signed a joint statement on the general improvement of inter-Korean relations, capping off a very successful third summit, which appears to have gotten the denuclearization operations back on track. In addition to denuclearization and peace talk efforts, the two Koreas agreed to found a joint military committee, which will be charged with maintaining communication between the two nations and prevent any accidental clashes. This is potentially a hugely important step as the two nations try to reduce decades of military tensions and negotiate efforts to move their respective forces away from the border as the efforts to negotiate a peace treaty advance. In addition to all the more important efforts, North and South Korea agreed to a joint effort to host the 2032 Summer Olympics. The two nations also agreed to unspecified cooperation during the 2020 Games. Born into a devastating world and raised among the crowd, the Cloudwalker assumes a new identity and begins the unrelenting quest for truth. In this epic journey, he discovers dark secrets about aspects of his previous life that he once trusted. Through the Journal of the Cloudwalker, he shares both the traumatic hardships and the eternal beauties of his experiences. Dear Society by the Cloudwalker is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. UPI reports the Trump administration is issuing $1 billion in grants to states to provide treatment for opioid addiction, according to the Health and Human Services Secretary Alex Azar. The funding was expected to go to state agencies and community health centers to treat and prevent addiction and gather data on the crisis. Azar announced the grants in an op-ed published in USA Today. Azar wrote, HHS is taking a number of new, unprecedented steps to empower local communities in their fight. These are part of HHS's comprehensive strategy for the crisis, which is grounded in the best science and evidence we have. The grants include provisions to promote the use of medication-assisted treatment, including overdose reversal drug naloxone. Azar said doctors and scientists consider such treatments the gold standard for opioid addiction, citing a 264% increase in prescribing of naloxone since President Donald Trump took office in January 2017. HHS is also pushing telemedicine, the remote treatment of patients using the internet, as a method of treating addiction. Trump declared a national public health emergency over the opioid crisis in October 2017, calling it the worst drug crisis in American history. Some 72,000 people died of drug overdose in 2017, up from an estimated 64,000 in 2016. On Monday, the Senate voted overwhelmingly to approve a sweeping bipartisan bill to fight the crisis, 3 months after the House passed similar legislation. The Senate version of the bill includes more than 70 provisions to treat and conduct research on opioid addiction. Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at weusecoins.com. That's weusecoins.com. Reuters reports a federal judge in New York on Wednesday dismissed a criminal case brought against General Motors in 2015 over the largest U.S. automaker's handling of an ignition switch defect linked to 124 deaths. District Judge Allison Nathan approved a request filed Monday by federal prosecutors to dismiss the two criminal counts. In 2015, GM entered into a deferred prosecution agreement with the U.S. Attorney's Office in New York after the Detroit automaker was charged with concealing information from government officials and wire fraud. GM agreed to pay a $900 million fine and accepts 3 years of oversight by an independent monitor. Federal prosecutors in New York told Nathan in a letter Monday that GM had complied with the terms of the agreement. GM had paid more than $2.6 billion in penalties and settlements, including the fine over faulty ignition switches that could cause engines to stall and prevent airbags from deploying in crashes. The defect was linked to 124 deaths and 275 injuries and prompted a recall that began in February 2014 of 2.6 million vehicles. GM GM spokesman David Caldwell, in a statement via email on Wednesday, said the government had finished monitoring the company. No individuals were criminally charged, but Chief Executive Mary Barra fired 15 people, including 8 executives, over the issue. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
To help you understand how dangerous narcotics operations have persisted despite decades of bold efforts to completely mishandle the problem, we now present The Onion Explains, the drug trade. The cartels remain as powerful as ever. Experts say that the only solution is to eliminate the demand for illegal drugs by instead getting buzzed on common household products, like cough syrup. Not only do items such as nail polish remover and model glue get you ripped if you really breathe that in, they also help shrink the market for cartel drugs. Cartels would stand to lose billions if even a third of the people using their cocaine or methamphetamine instead huffed Freon, which will knock you right on your ass just as quickly. It's easy to get by cracking open an air conditioner. If enough people realize that keyboard cleaner will put you in a insane trance and that it's just sitting there right now in your desk drawer, the costly war on drugs could very well end tomorrow.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. We'll give you the toll-free call-in lines here momentarily, where you can call in and join us and bring up whatever is on your mind. And, of course, we bring things up as well. The us in studio tonight is Darryl.
And Heather.
And Chris.
And if you listen to the news over the last few days, you probably heard that you were supposed to get some kind of text message directly from President Donald Trump himself. He was going to sit there and personally text all 300+ million Americans.
That wasn't really what it was it? No, it wasn't.
But that's how it was being reported.
It was.
Donald Trump's going to be able to tweet you directly, and there's nothing you can do about it. Not exactly. But then, because there was a lot of backlash of people saying, I don't want these presidential things. Like, I know that there's a way I can turn off Amber Alerts and the weather things, and there's a couple other sorts of, alerts that may or may not go to your phone, depending on whether you've turned them off or not.
Right.
But these presidential alerts, apparently you can't turn off, although I did stumble across an article from Gizmodo, and I did post to the social media just before the show started saying, here's some info on how you may or may not be able to turn these off. Your mileage may vary.
Right.
It's kind of crazy to think about it, though, isn't it? Like, that one person could potentially have the ability to send something to absolutely everybody that has a cell phone in this country.
Yeah. And again, in this article, I just kind of skimmed the first part, but it talks about, where this stuff came from was the Cold War.
Right. And that's the thing, where these sorts of things, it didn't just start where President Trump said, I'm going to text every American.
Right.
It wasn't Barack Obama saying, I'm going to text every American. There was actually legislation that passed under George W. Bush.
Yeah.
But it just builds on all of this other stuff. And let's jump into this article here from Scientific American.
Okay, Darryl.
About how the emergency text alerts actually work. And again, from Scientific American, the link will get posted up on the Facebooks, the Twitters, and the Mastodons later. Responding to fears of an imminent Soviet nuclear attack, in 1951, President Harry S. Truman set up a national system enabling the president to quickly notify the public of an impending national security threat via a cross-country relay chain of AM radio stations. It used characteristic blaring warning tones and became a precursor to the emergency alert system, which is in use today, which I believe at one time was called the emergency broadcast
system.
And it used a completely different tone, and it was 60 seconds of beep.
And it had that, this is a test of the emergency broadcaster system. The broadcasters in your area, in voluntary cooperation with the FCC and other authorities, have developed this test to keep you informed in case of an actual emergency.
Right.
This is only a test.
Right. And the
How
thing
many
is,
times had I heard that where I could almost verbatim
and
repeat that?
The thing is, if you were scanning the channels and you scanned right after they made that little announcement,
right,
and then you just hear the thing, you're like, wait, what's happening?
The
And then you
Russians.
listen for, up to 60 seconds of that beep, and then you hear this has been a test, and you're like, all right, good.
Yeah.
There's not tornadoes everywhere.
Right. Or no missiles in the air.
Right. Continuing on, it says John Lawson, an emergency alert expert who has advised FEMA on its modern warning systems, says there are certain stations across every market that listen for those tones and then retransmit the alert to other stations in the market. Legislation passed in 2006 under President George W. Bush augmented that capability with wireless text messaging alerts that could theoretically be sent to every cell phone across the country in the event of a national emergency like a nuclear attack. Now, to pause here, do either one of you remember a few months ago when there was the text that went out in Hawaii
Very much.
about some kind of missile thing? And
Oh,
didn't
and
that
it
go
was an
via
accident?
text?
Yeah.
It was like a mistake?
Yeah, it was an accident. Yes, and that went via this exact system.
Yeah, and it was one of those things where
Whoops.
there was a drop-down box and, this is a test, this is not a test, were right there. And you could very easily apparently check the wrong thing, and it didn't then prompt, are you sure this is real?
Right.
Yeah, because if it's real, you don't want to have to keep clicking, yes, I'm sure this is real.
Are you
Yes,
positively
I'm sure I want to delete this file. Yes, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm positive.
It was,
yes, Microsoft, I want to delete this.
That hit a lot of people.
It'd be kind of funny to send something like that out on April Fool's Day and then be like, just kidding. And then see how many people get PO'd.
Just joking. Yeah, one of the hosts on Free Talk Live, Mark Edge, was actually in Hawaii during that time, and it was around 8 o'clock in the morning, early in the day.
Yeah.
Did he get the message?
Yeah.
So it was location based then.
Yes.
You didn't actually have a phone registered in Hawaii.
It's just like if you're in, let's say you travel to Maine.
So it
and you
pings
don't
every
have-
device within the perimeters?
You can.
It's location based. So let's say you go to Maine
Yeah.
and there's an Amber Alert and you have not turned off the Amber Alerts and you're within however many miles, you will get notice.
Right.
Doesn't matter where your phone is registered. It's based on the pinging of cell towers.
But that's the thing. They can do it location based. So yeah, you have to be somewhere. So right now, I guarantee you there were people in North Carolina that have been getting these left and right for the last week or so. You know what I mean? Yeah. But we didn't get them up
some
here.
news story a while back where some prostitute in Vegas was getting in cars with people, and her Facebook was basically using that same technology to pick up the people she was with. So
Although
she would get
Facebook
the
claims that they don't
suggested
use
friends.
Yes.
So in the story, someone had gotten a suggested friend was the prostitute, somebody that used her because they were in the same vehicle or something.
Right.
And so
These things can happen. It's it's what happens when you give up parts of your privacy.
Right.
And these are the things that can go wrong.
Continuing on with this article, and your calls and thoughts are welcome. 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. Scientific American continues by saying that the wireless text message alert system created under President George W. Bush has never actually been tested. So President Trump plans to send out an inaugural test alert. Initially was slated for today, September 20th, but has been postponed to October 3rd. This week, Lawson spoke with Scientific American about how the new alert system may play out. Lawson serves as executive director of a private sector tech collaboration group called the Advanced Warning and Response Network Alliance, and spends his days thinking about how to best prepare communities for unthinkable disasters. The network, and they use the acronym AWARN, aims to create alerting systems that could still function if the cell networks jam or the power grid goes down.
Ah, the EMP, the dream of many people.
Which people?
People that thrive
I've
on
heard
the
people, like the survivalists will talk about it.
They love
I don't know
the
if
idea.
they dream about it.
The preppers, yes. They do imagine this world where every car stops working, every electronic device ends.
Except for that pre-1947 Toyota model that's got the crank engine.
No. Vehicles that were made in the early 80s will still function anything before that.
Wait, what's it called?
An electromagnetic pulse.
EMP.
No, the flare thing.
A solar flare?
Yeah. So
that's another thing that can cause it, but an EMP is usually triggered by a nuclear explosion. So one of the side effects of, as if the nuke wasn't bad enough already, it can wipe out sensitive electronic circuits in a large area.
Yeah, because essentially the electricity is going through the air. So all these vibrations,
any electronics that are not inside a Faraday cage.
Yeah, there are ways to protect against it. But we found that out when we were testing nukes in the South Pacific. They were doing some air bursts, exploding nukes up in the atmosphere. And they found out that all of a sudden all these radios and things like that in Hawaii stopped working. This was thousands of miles away. But they kind of determined that, yes, that when a nuke goes off, it releases a large amount of radio activity.
So how will this presidential alert system work? Well, we'll tell you. Plus your calls and thoughts. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Zencash is now Horizon, and Free Talk Live is giving away some Zen. Over the last 6 weeks, we've given away 8 Zen, and we're giving away more. To enter the next giveaway, send your transparent Zen address via email to Darryl@freetalklive.com and tell us how you listen to the show. The winner will be randomly selected from all entries received before noon on Wednesday, September 26th. Again, to enter, send your transparent Zen address via email to Darryl@freetalklive.com. Tell us how you listen to the show.
What's more profitable, running your business or doing bookkeeping? Doing your business, of course, but you want to keep your books so that you can maximize your tax savings, right? What if I told you that there's a person that's a bookkeeper, accountant, and law school graduate that's also a hardcore libertarian?
My name is Melanie Johnson, and I hate the state. I will aggressively help you to minimize your tax exposure and maximize profits, all while staying within the law.
Melanie's your best choice for your taxes and bookkeeping needs. Go to tax.freetalklive.com and check out our website, tax.freetalklive.com.
Do you operate a retail business and are looking for a solution for point-of-sale cryptocurrency acceptance? It's never been easier thanks to AnyPay.global. There's no paperwork or approval process to open an account. If you already have a tablet, you're almost done. Just sign up at AnyPay.global, drop your personal crypto wallet addresses on the setup page, and then load the app. That's it. You're accepting cryptocurrency like Bitcoin and Dash at your store. Get started now at AnyPay.global. AnyPay.global.
The Bitcoin.com wallet is a simple and powerful full-featured wallet that allows you to send and receive Bitcoin, BTC, and Bitcoin Cash, BCH, with anyone, anywhere in the world. It supports both single and multi-signature wallets and is available in multiple languages. The Bitcoin.com wallet is available on Windows, Linux, Mac, Android, and iOS devices. Use the Bitcoin.com wallet to buy, send, store, and receive both Bitcoin, BTC, and Bitcoin Cash, BCH. Learn more at wallet.bitcoin.com. That's wallet.bitcoin.com.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
In Survivor Max 2, School Bites, Max must scavenge through a wasteland swarming with the undead. Desperate to find the medicine he needs, he discovers a community of survivors at his former school. Has he finally found the safe haven he's been looking for, or will he discover that school bites? Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, and read Chapter 1 at survivormax.com.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air, and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. We're talking about the presidential emergency text alert system thing that is sort of the newest addition to the emergency broadcast system. And by newest addition, I mean it was added about 12 years ago, but it's never actually been tested. And when Trump said that he was going to test it, there were a bunch of people, oh my God, Trump's going to text everybody personally. And how can he do this? Well, because legislation was passed a long time ago. We'll get back into that story. But something that isn't nearly as old, but I would dare say about 1,000 times better. You've probably heard us talk about Zencash. They recently rebranded to Horizon. Horizon is a privacy platform built on zero-knowledge technology with a decentralized secure node architecture. The Horizon platform enables real-life uses beyond simply cryptocurrency, including the ability to chat with other users. And if you've been listening to the podcast recently, you know that Free Talk Live has been giving away some Zen, and we're trying something different, Zen being the currency built on Horizon, and we're actually targeting people that listen to the show live. So if you're listening only to the podcast, then you will not know how you can enter to win some Zen in this upcoming giveaway. So it's only people that are listening to the live broadcast that will know how to enter. It's fairly easy, but again, live listeners only. And of course, you can learn more about Zen and Horizon by going to horizon.global. Horizon. Horizon.global.
I wasn't sure if that was still going on, Darryl.
Yes.
The only reason I say that is because I have not received any free Horizon.
Because you have not won, sir.
Oh, is that what it comes down to?
Yeah, so the first several were random number generators, and then there was a trivia question that we had two people correctly answer. Trivia question was, what are the 3 types of nodes on the Zen network? Those being full nodes, secure nodes, and super nodes.
Well, now we know. Was that the question?
Yeah,
are you asking that right now, Darryl?
No, that was the
question.
question.
Can I just repeat that back and win some free Horizon?
No.
That's a good coin.
So
I think
Horizon.global. Jumping back into this article from Scientific American, where they are talking about this presidential alert system. Again, it is built upon what's now called the emergency alert system. Used to be the emergency broadcast system that was adopted back in 1951 because Harry Truman feared that the Soviets might nuke America. And then in 2006, George Bush had Congress pass some legislation giving the president, or rather someone under the direction of the president, the authority to send out text message alerts using what is referred to as the presidential alert system. There's also, you've probably received the weather alerts and like the Amber Alerts. There's probably a couple others that you may or may not have received. I actually have all of those turned off on my phone. except for the presidential text alert that you allegedly can't actually turn off. But Scientific American has an interview here with Mr. Lawson, whose first name John Lawson, who has advised FEMA on various things and is working with a group called AWARN, the Advanced Warning and Response Network Alliance. He said, how would this presidential text message alert system actually work? He says, it's my understanding that the code to send an emergency alert and the instructions would travel with the president in the football, which is a suitcase that holds the nuclear launch codes. Asked for the agency's perspective on the alert system, a FEMA spokesman said that they would not be able to provide details or make an expert available for an interview. So basically, no comment.
No comment.
So is it with the football? No comment. Does the football exist? No comment. Well, we know that there's that briefcase.
There is.
That exists.
It does.
But no comment about whether or not it actually exists or what's in the football. Other than a nuclear attack, what sort of circumstances would make it appropriate for the president to send a text versus, say, one coming from the head of FEMA?
Fake news.
Should we answer that question right now?
Yeah, we should.
Well, Lawson says the president could theoretically use it for any other type of alert as decided by the president.
Like CNN did a unpopular story on the president. Could he then text everybody?
Just send out a presidential alert. Hashtag fake news.
I'm going to say no to that one.
No?
No. Spit on another idea.
What would you do?
I don't know. What? As far as what do I think he should be okay to send?
Yeah.
Patriots score.
Jesus, here we go. It's football season, and Heather's back in full Patriots mode.
Chris, you kept mentioning Twitter, and the next question that they asked Lawson is about Twitter. Says our current president is very active on Twitter. The questioner says, and I think one concern is that without some sort of filter system in place, the president could send one of these national alerts and incite panic or even an international incident of some kind.
But if you think about it, too, because I was just thinking it could be used, for weather alerts. I think that's not a bad idea. But it's kind of crazy to think about the way it could be used for ill purposes. Do you know what I mean? Because if you think about it, when you send somebody a weather alert, like a hurricane, for example, you are basically predicting the majority of people's next course of action. Most of them, they'll evacuate. So you can kind of calculate where people are going to be moving to. Do you know what I mean? So it kind of is a powerful tool to be able to push one button, send out a text, and now you have this chain reaction of effect on behavior of so many different people.
Yeah.
All in one place.
Right.
So it's like a way to control behavior.
Yeah, and under the control of one single person. It is a centralized system. It's a single point of failure or salvation. I mean,
right.
To me, as long as I've been around, I've never known that the emergency broadcast system or something like it was ever used for ill.
But it's what if state and local government, well, states already really do it, but local governments where you have snowstorms and it's
sure.
They tell you to stay in, or you have hurricanes, they tell you to leave, and it's just now you have all of these vacant homes, and if anyone stays,
no, that's a good
point. Hold on, you're bringing up a really good point here. So normally they'll just say shelter in place or evacuate,
right?
But they don't tell you a specific place to evacuate to.
Generally, no.
But theoretically, they could wind up saying, if you're receiving this message, evacuate to fill in the blank location, and that location just has all the cattle cars.
Yeah.
It's highly unlikely.
No.
That's exactly kind of that's basically what I'm saying is that whoever has that control over that, the ability to send the information can essentially control.
Right, and that's what Lawson says here. Lawson says, to your question about potential abuse, yeah, it's possible. It really comes down to trust of a civilian authority or trust of the commander-in-chief. Let's go back to the Cold War context, which is relevant here. You have to trust somebody. Let's say there's a massive cyber attack that takes out the grid. Ironically, the old emergency alert system, because it uses AM radio and the daisy chain, would probably survive, whereas the new system that depends on internet probably wouldn't. He says it's good to use both systems, and there's more. Plus your calls and thoughts, 855-450 free. This is Free Talk Live.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug-out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of Slingbow, a new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Hear that? That's the sound of a house being trashed while a gang of thieves ransack the place. And what they don't steal will be destroyed.
This year, resolve not to be the next victim of a break-in. Go to faketv.com and discover a device that creates the illusion someone inside is watching TV, even when you're miles away. Security is a mindset, and Fake TV should be part of your security solution. Be vigilant, but not fearful. faketv.com.
U.S. presidents often take credit for solving complex issues with many moving parts, whether they deserve that credit or not. But how much impact can a sitting president really have on the tides? We all know that presidents like to take credit for the undulations of the briny deep, when it suits them, that is, and we Americans are quick to blame whoever is in power for the multitudinous seas. During Eisenhower's administration in the 1950s, citizens took to the streets to protest his inability to harness the unruly waves, but Ike shifted blame for the tides that year onto a heron that had recently been born with a raven's head. But the truth is, when a president is in office, there's only so much he can do. Sure, the president can bring an amulet with the Eye of Horus to the top of the tallest peak, or spread lamb's blood on the base of an elm tree during a lunar eclipse. In reality, it's hard for anyone to know with true certainty how the tides will play out under any administration. For The Onion, I'm Eliza Hayes.
This is the Onion News Network.
I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin, mymagicmud.com.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippie! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. That is the toll-free call-in line for how you can call in and join us. There's also the Discord. Chris, you're somewhat active on the Discord.
I am somewhat active. It's tough to do during the show, but I try to at least pop in.
You should not be doing it during the show.
I know
during
that.
breaks is okay, but not while we're actually on the air.
But I do just sort of keep an eye on what's going on in there so we can kind of see what people are talking about and like that. And seeing, if they're catching us on the studio cams doing something embarrassing or
like snorting Altoids.
Snorting. We've all just had a round of Altoids, so we all have minty fresh breath. It's curiously strong.
And there's also some call-in lines.
Are there?
On the Discord.
There are. There are 3 call-in lines, so no waiting for a call-in line. You'll just be waiting on us to pick you up, and on the air you go.
Discord.lrn.fm. All kinds of different chat rooms on various things. Discord.lrn.fm. So getting back into this article from Scientific American, where the author of this article interviewed a guy named John Lawson, who's an emergency alert expert who has advised FEMA, and he also works as the executive director of the Advanced Warning and Response Network Alliance that they refer to here as AWARN. And they're asking him different things about this presidential alert text system thing that a lot of people probably had never heard of until there was the news that Donald Trump wanted to send out a test because it's not been tested since it was implemented under George W. Bush 12 years ago. Now, I want to get back into something that Lawson said that we covered in the last segment, where he's comparing this text alert system with the old emergency broadcast system that's now referred to as the emergency alert system, where he says, ironically, the old emergency system, because it uses AM radio and a daisy chain, would probably survive a massive cyber attack, whereas the new system that depends on internet distribution probably would not. So it would actually be good to still use both systems.
Yeah.
And that's something that, like I've known about this presidential alert thing and the NOAA alerts and the Amber alerts, but I never thought, oh yeah, if a transformer blows and then all of the power goes out,
right,
I might not get a text message.
Yeah, and it's interesting. This is a little bit of Cold War history for some people out there, but I will say I worked in communications in the military, and allegedly, and we had state-of-the-art equipment for long-haul communications around the world, literally around the world. But allegedly, we still maintained a whole bunch of communications gear that used tubes. It didn't have any transistors. I'm talking really...
The internet is a series of tubes, according to that one politician guy.
There you go. We're talking really, really old school radios and things like that from the 50s and early 60s that were still maintained. And the purpose of that was
redundancy
as a backup.
Right.
If we were hit with something like an EMP, if we lost everything digital, you can still do really low frequency communications securely.
Did you also have the telegraph thing? Did you know Morse code so that you could send a ship-to-shore telegraph?
Fortunately, I've never had to learn, even as a amateur radio operator, I've never had to learn Morse code. But we had people that did that, and we had teletype and all kinds of stuff.
So skipping a couple of questions here in this interview, the next question is, what's the legislative background leading to this National Emergency Alert System? Lawson says the Wireless Emergency Alert, or WEA, was created by the WARN Act passed by Congress in 2006. WARN being an acronym for Warning, Alert, and Response Network. It was designed to motivate the wireless carriers to provide text message systems for emergency alerting, and there was a procedure, a rulemaking at the FCC. There was an advisory subcommittee, Lawson says, and I was on that to help establish the rules that led to the present system. WEA provides for any authorized originator, often county governments, to use the system for imminent threat emergencies, and it also allows users to opt out of these alerts, except for the President of the United States. So these alerts are sent by a county government and go over the internet to an aggregator, a server managed by FEMA, to authenticate. They are then redistributed to local wireless carriers that retransmit to cell towers. Author says, or rather the interviewer writing the article says, authenticate? That makes it sound kind of vague and mysterious. You mean there's a person who double checks that these are valid warnings? And has to take an action, or it's more like a CAPTCHA system that just makes sure that it's a real signal. Lawson says, I'm pretty sure no human actually touches it. A CAPTCHA would be a good analogy. It's some sophisticated system of authentication that involves codes and passwords and other software that would detect what is legitimate and what is not. And I think this is, interesting to point out here, especially in light of the questions of, wait, how did that guy in Hawaii send out that fake missile alert thing several months ago? Well, if there was another human that verified, then, it would have been caught, hopefully. But because it came from the computer, it verified like this was not from a hacked device.
Right.
Continuing on, author says, okay, well, what would rise to the level of needing a presidential alert beyond a nuclear threat? It seems that most emergencies are regional, like a flood, an earthquake, or a sinkhole. He says it's always something horrible that we have not imagined. I can see the system being used post-attack. Then there's the question about why has it never been tested? Lawson says, I think there have been many alerting failures recently, so that momentum is picking up to do something and improve our system. Hawaii, where an alert system erroneously sent text warnings of an incoming ballistic missile in January, was recently a catalyzing moment. I didn't realize it was all the way back in January. I thought it was more recent than that.
Time flies, Darryl.
Yes. Post-Hawaii, there's been a heightened awareness that we need to up our game in terms of alerting, and it wasn't just that instance. Last year, at about that time, there were massive wildfires in Sonoma and the North Bay region of California. People died, and the wireless alert system was not used to warn people of the fires. The Sonoma emergency manager had reasons not to send them. One was because the number of characters, 90, is so limited that you can't really instruct people very specifically about what actions to take. If you say evacuate immediately, well, in what direction? The alerts aren't geo-targeted, so you will warn people who aren't affected, and they could then clog the road so people can't get an emergency vehicle into the area. The author here then asks the question, can people really not block these presidential alerts? Or is it like any other cell phone number, say from an ex that you don't want to hear from, and you can just block that number? Lawson says, they're not actually sending a call through the exchange to your phone, so you cannot block it. It's actually a broadcast alert, and the WARN Act of 2006 that set it up became this wireless alert system specifically allows people to opt out of everything but the presidential alert. So again, allegedly, according to the federal law, you cannot opt out of these presidential alerts. Now, I'm wondering, there might be some people that have jailbroken phones that might know some kind of way to get around something.
I'm sure there's a will, where there's a will, there's a way, but there's another option that's called turn off your phone, If you hear that, what happens when I hear the emergency, whatever it's called now, the emergency broadcast system, in the rare times I'm watching television, I hit the mute button.
Right. But no, I think it's more a thing of people don't want you've got an unread text message from presidential emergency alert.
Well, if it said that, then I would probably look at it just to goof.
Like there's no way to not receive the text.
Yeah.
There is a way to where you don't get some annoying noise that comes out of your phone.
Right.
But people just don't want to get the message.
Yeah. Okay.
Your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450-FREE. This is Free Talk Live. This November, I'll be running the world's biggest and most popular marathon, the New York City Marathon, as a member of Team Innocence Project. The Innocence Project was the first legal organization to systematically apply DNA testing to cases of wrongful convictions as a powerful tool to reveal innocence. So far in 2018, the Innocence Network has welcomed 32 wrongfully convicted people home from prison for crimes they did not commit and had a record-breaking 850 people unite in Memphis at their annual conference. The movement of freeing the innocent and reforming the criminal justice system is growing and would not be possible without your support. Together as 68 network organizations around the world, they've helped exonerate 513 people who spent a combined total of 7,804 years in prison. They've also worked together to pass over 150 laws in the U.S. to help prevent wrongful convictions. You can support the Innocence Project by going to run.freetalklive.com. That's run.freetalklive.com.
Embrace your personal style with deals on top flooring trends at Lumber Liquidators Fall Flooring Sale. Get a rich and classic look with new gilded reserve chestnut and more Bellawood engineered hardwood floors all on sale. 10 to 15% off. Or get new Icelandic oak laminate. It's 23% off. Save up to 34% on waterproof floors. Get more from 39 cents plus special financing and professional installation nationwide. Don't miss it. Visit lumberliquidators.com to find a store near you today.
My lawn's been worn out by summer, not to mention by my kids.
This year, use Scott's in the fall. Just one more feeding gives your grass the nourishment it needs to recover from the wear and tear of summer, while also building resilient roots to help prevent a weak, thin lawn next spring.
This fall, my kids and my grass are back out to play.
This is a Scott's Yard. Now's the time to feed your lawn. Pick up a bag of Scott's Winter Guard today.
Excuse me, is this where I get a license to start a new business?
I wouldn't be hasty. You have to get a license to go out of business, too, you know.
Oh, well, look, I've invented this little anti-gravity machine, see?
Oh, is that why you're walking 2 inches above the floor?
Oh, yes, it's very comfortable. It saves on shoe leather.
Yeah, well, you have to fill out these forms and report to the Human Services Department of Manpower Orientation and register with the Fair Employment Practice Commission, the Wage and Hour Division of the Employment Standards Administration, the State Sales and Income Tax Division, the Internal Revenue Service, and the Social Security Administration of the Department of Health, Education, and Welfare, and, of course, OSHA.
OSHA? I thought that was a little town in Wisconsin.
You'll find out. Say, floating around like that could be dangerous. Have you checked with the Consumer Product Safety Commission?
Well, not yet.
Come to think of it, you actually are flying, aren't you? Look, you need to go over to the Federal Aviation Administration and the Transportation...
It's very hard to get anything done these days if you're in business, but free enterprise built this country. Think what could happen if we don't keep it free. A public service of this station and the Center for the Defense of Free Enterprise, Bellevue, Washington.
Besides, we just can't have people floating about unregulated, you know.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. facebook.freetalklive.com.
So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. In studio tonight, it's Darryl.
And Heather.
And Chris.
And the 4th annual Texas Bitcoin Conference is coming up fast in just over 1 month, October 27th and 28th in Austin, Texas. Texas Bitcoin Conference is always a great event for networking, innovation, and entertainment. This year, speakers include Paul Snow of Factom, Bruce Fenton of Ravencoin, Professor John M. Griffin, and more. Go to TexasBitcoinConference.com right now to get your tickets. And, of course, Free Talk Live will be there again. And Ian and Mark, they'll be there. I won't. I'll be here holding things down. They would love to see you. And I know that the people running the Texas Bitcoin Conference, they would love to see you as well. TexasBitcoinConference.com. So we've been talking about this presidential emergency alert thing where Donald Trump is not actually going to be able to directly text you at 2 o'clock in the morning asking you for random pictures.
But I think it's interesting, and it was amazing because it was the immediate reaction. Guys, this is such a boring topic. It is literally coming up with a new emergency broadcasting, testing something that's been in place forever. Not a big deal. But in today's world, all anyone could imagine was, no way. You're going to let Trump tweet me at all hours of the night, and I have to receive it. That was the immediate reaction.
Right. And again, this thing has been around for a dozen years.
In this instance.
And most people, the presidential alert thing,
right,
using the cell phones has been federal law for a dozen years, but most people had never heard of this until the announcement earlier this week,
right,
that there was going to be a test of the system.
Right.
And there's no way to opt out.
And as far as that emergency broadcast system we've been talking about, that's been around for, 60-plus years.
Yeah.
Close to 70.
1951 is when that was set up.
Yeah.
Thanks to President Harry S. Truman. The S did not actually stand for anything.
So, kind of keeping us on topic here, there is a new national privacy law coming. Talking about whether or not you can, we're talking about whether or not you could turn off text messages and things like that.
Right.
But this comes to us from the Hill. The tech industry and consumer groups are gearing up for a fight with lawmakers as they begin considering whether to draft a new national privacy law. The push to get Congress to enact federal privacy standards is gaining new urgency after California passed what it sees as the nation's toughest privacy law this June. The measure forces businesses to be more transparent about what they do with consumer data and gives users unprecedented control over their personal information.
So I have to say that this is not something that I had heard about California passing some kind of privacy law. I was aware that the European Union had passed some kind of right to be forgotten thing to where
GDPR or something like that.
No. So the right to be forgotten predates GDPR by several years. So I don't know if you've ever gone to Google and typed in your name.
Yes.
And then you see various results.
Yes.
If there's a result that you don't like in the European Union, you can send a message to, like Google or whoever and say, I don't want this particular article coming up in search results for me.
Right.
And according to the EU law, they are obligated to comply.
Right. So you just leave the good stuff up there.
Right.
Right.
And then there's the GDPR thing that we have talked about on some Friday nights with the other Chris, who runs a privacy-focused computer company. I'm actually using one of their computers from Think Penguin, where he's talked about this GDPR thing. And
so that was me thinking out loud.
Yeah, I was just wondering if that was
I was thinking about like what you were saying and how it compared, because actually on my ride in here today, I was thinking about how I wanted to start using Bing as like a search engine instead of Google.
Okay.
Because I noticed that every time I go to Google, if you type in just like news or whatever, it's always the same ones, like the New York Times and all the same ones that...
It's learned your habits.
Yeah, so not just my habits, I think it suggests what my habit should be, because I don't read any of those articles. I always scroll, and I I certainly don't read the New York Times anymore. But then I notice when I type like the same thing in Bing, it's like different sources come up.
Well, it's not a bad thing.
And so
I should try DuckDuckGo.
I was going to say a lot of people like DuckDuckGo because...
I've never even heard of that one.
It doesn't actually send, even though it uses Google search as its backend, it doesn't send your metadata to Google, so that Google doesn't know person running this operating system with this size monitor from this connection in this geographic area searched for this particular term.
Yeah. It's easy to remember. DuckDuckGo.
DuckDuckGo.
But the GDPR thing has more to do with, and it sounds like it's something close to what the California legislators did, to where businesses have to be quote unquote more transparent about what they do with consumer data, or in the case of GDPR, you just have to say either we collect all the data from every customer if one of our customers is in Europe, or we don't collect anything, or we're just not doing business with people in Europe anymore.
Right. This article continues, but the California law has sparked worries within the tech industry, which fears that it has to comply with a new patchwork of varying state regulations. Now, industry groups are pushing Congress to pass a national privacy bill that will block states from implementing their own standards.
So let's talk about this for a moment.
Right.
Because I know that there are the people that would say, oh, well, states' rights, or 10th Amendment says blah, da, 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 da. And then there's the counter argument of, well, the federal Constitution, and I'm not necessarily defending the federal Constitution or the federal government. I'm making the argument.
Supremacy Clause argument.
Not just the Supremacy Clause, but more the 14th Amendment Equal Protection Clause.
Okay.
Of, could the federal government say, here's the standard, you can pass something that's more lenient, but you can't pass something that infringes on the rights more so than this law.
Right. So that's interesting.
So, from more of an equal protection side.
Yeah. It could be fought either way. In either case, the tech industry is going to challenge. It's just going to be a mess. Now industry groups are pushing Congress to pass a national privacy bill that will block states from implementing their own standards. Privacy advocates are skeptical of the industry proposals and concerned that internet giants will co-opt the process in order to get protections that are weaker than the California standard implemented across the country. Quote, they do not want effective oversight. They do not want regulation of their business practices, which is really urgently needed, unquote. Jeff Chester, the executive director of the Center for Digital Democracy, CDD, told The Hill, quote, they're going to work behind the scenes to shape legislation that will not protect Americans from having all of their information regularly gathered and used by these digital giants, unquote. They see federal law as an opportunity to preempt stronger rules, he added. So, again, now we have a different side of it, just saying, we have to trust in the federal government. The federal government has to do it, or, by gosh, the states will just, they'll do what they want, and they won't pass things as strong as California has done.
Right, and
banning straws.
Like banning straws. That's a great
They didn't
analogy.
actually ban straws. They just said that you can't give someone a straw without the customer asking for the straw. You're still allowed to have a plastic straw in California.
Can you give it to a turtle? Because there was that picture
don't
of that.
have thumbs.
There was that picture of the turtle.
Turtles also can't ask for the straw.
You know where that picture came from? Not to go off on my turtle tangent.
A video of a guy pulling a straw. I cried.
Did you cry?
Oh no!
Oh, because
I felt
it happened.
pain for that turtle.
Yes, and right here
turtle.
on American shores. How could this happen?
I saw that too. That's terrible. Was it really a straw? Is that what it was?
It really was, but it was really in Costa Rica.
How the heck
at the
does that
mouth.
I don't care
happen,
where
though?
it was. I saw this video of this little turtle that was in pain.
It was.
Yeah, but
and
how do
I
you,
felt bad for this little turtle.
How do you get a straw that far up your nose?
I don't know.
Even as a turtle, that's weird.
I mean, even in the 80s, I never got a straw that far up my
Valley
nose.
Girl.
Oh, that was my cocaine joke for the evening.
Yeah,
sorry guys.
I was making a cocaine joke at the same time.
Right, ask a Valley Girl.
Oh, sorry, I don't do coke.
Well, I don't either, but I did for a month one night. It was rather interesting.
I did for a month one night.
So there's more on this article from The Hill about privacy laws and regulations, and at what level should there be the regulations? Should there be the regulations, and why must they be consistent? 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live.
Let's talk tough. Let's talk comfort. Let's talk about down-home value, made in the USA blue jeans, like you wore as a kid. Remember?
There's a place down in Tennessee where they make blue diamond gusset jeans. They so pride in every stitch, guarantee you love the way they fit. They put a diamond gusset in the crotch where you need it most. Blue diamond gussets got it, others don't.
For good old-fashioned comfort, get Diamond Gusset jeans. Every stitch guaranteed. And our Defender motorcycle jean comes Kevlar reinforced. See them at GUSSET.com, that's gusset.com, or call 888-848-7738. That's 888-848-7738. Diamond Gusset jeans got it, others don't.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Thursday, September 20th, 2018. Silver is trading at $14.31 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,208 per ounce. Zen is trading at $15, and the average price of Bitcoin is $6,432. Antiwar.com reports on Wednesday, South Korean President Moon Jae-in and North Korea's Kim Jong-un signed a joint statement on the general improvement of inter-Korean relations, capping off a very successful third summit, which appears to have gotten the denuclearization operations back on track. In addition to denuclearization and peace talk efforts, the two Koreas agreed to found a joint military committee, which will be charged with maintaining communication between the two nations and prevent any accidental clashes. This is potentially a hugely important step as the two nations try to reduce decades of military tensions and negotiate efforts to move their respective forces away from the border as the efforts to negotiate a peace treaty advance. In addition to all the more important efforts, North and South Korea agreed to a joint effort to host the 2032 Summer Olympics. The two nations also agreed to unspecified cooperation during the 2020 Games. Born into a devastating world and raised among the crowd, the Cloudwalker assumes a new identity and begins the unrelenting quest for truth. In this epic journey, he discovers dark secrets about aspects of his previous life that he once trusted. Through the Journal of the Cloudwalker, he shares both the traumatic hardships and the eternal beauties of his experiences. Dear Society by the Cloudwalker is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. UPI reports the Trump administration is issuing $1 billion in grants to states to provide treatment for opioid addiction, according to the Health and Human Services Secretary Alex Azar. The funding was expected to go to state agencies and community health centers to treat and prevent addiction and gather data on the crisis. Azar announced the grants in an op-ed published in USA Today. Azar wrote, HHS is taking a number of new, unprecedented steps to empower local communities in their fight. These are part of HHS's comprehensive strategy for the crisis, which is grounded in the best science and evidence we have. The grants include provisions to promote the use of medication-assisted treatment, including overdose reversal drug naloxone. Azar said doctors and scientists consider such treatments the gold standard for opioid addiction, citing a 264% increase in prescribing of naloxone since President Donald Trump took office in January 2017. HHS is also pushing telemedicine, the remote treatment of patients using the internet, as a method of treating addiction. Trump declared a national public health emergency over the opioid crisis in October 2017, calling it the worst drug crisis in American history. Some 72,000 people died of drug overdose in 2017, up from an estimated 64,000 in 2016. On Monday, the Senate voted overwhelmingly to approve a sweeping bipartisan bill to fight the crisis, 3 months after the House passed similar legislation. The Senate version of the bill includes more than 70 provisions to treat and conduct research on opioid addiction. Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at weusecoins.com. That's weusecoins.com. Reuters reports a federal judge in New York on Wednesday dismissed a criminal case brought against General Motors in 2015 over the largest U.S. automaker's handling of an ignition switch defect linked to 124 deaths. District Judge Allison Nathan approved a request filed Monday by federal prosecutors to dismiss the 2 criminal counts. In 2015, GM entered into a deferred prosecution agreement with the U.S. Attorney's Office in New York after the Detroit automaker was charged with concealing information from government officials and wire fraud. GM agreed to pay a $900 million fine and accept 3 years of oversight by an independent monitor. Federal prosecutors in New York told Nathan in a letter Monday that GM had complied with the terms of the agreement. GM had paid more than $2.6 billion in penalties and settlements, including the fine over faulty ignition switches that could cause engines to stall and prevent airbags from deploying in crashes. The defect was linked to 124 deaths and 275 injuries and prompted a recall that began in February 2014 of 2.6 million vehicles. GM spokesman David Caldwell, in a statement via email on Wednesday, said the government had finished monitoring the company. No individuals were criminally charged, but Chief Executive Mary Barra fired 15 people, including 8 executives, over the issue. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
As a police officer, I constantly live in fear that I might be filmed brutalizing a civilian. It's something you know from the time you're a cadet. The slightest civil rights infraction in front of anyone who's looking, and the next thing you know, you're surrounded by cameras and trending on Twitter. No cop should have to worry about that. Practically every precinct I know has somebody serving desk duty just for acting on deeply rooted prejudices when somebody had a recording device on them. It happened to my partner, and it even happened to our own captain. One day he's just kicking an unarmed pedestrian in the ribs when all of a sudden people with cameras are everywhere, and then they just start shooting what he was doing, all 6 minutes of it. I can't help but think sometimes that could have been me ending up at that desk job. You never know which day of total impunity will be your last, but for a cop, that's just our daily reality.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live, kicking off hour number 2. In studio tonight, it's Darryl.
And Heather.
And Chris.
And you can call in and join us by dialing toll-free 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. Plus, we do have some Discord call-in lines. Now, you do need to have the Discord app. If you're using the Discord in your browser, you can read the chats, but you can't do the voice chat using the thing in the browser. So you do need that standalone, whether it be on your desktop, laptop, or your mobile device. Discord.lrn.fm is how you would find that. So we've been talking about some technology. No, we're not talking about pizza. We're talking about technology.
It is National Pepperoni Pizza Day, though. You can't deny that.
Apparently, Twitter has declared it to be Pepperoni Pizza Day.
See, I wasn't lying.
Not fake news.
Well, no, Twitter could be lying to us. It's not like it was tweeted to us by the president at 2 o'clock in the morning, which is not actually what the presidential alert text thing
National
does.
Pizza Day.
That's not the presidential alert text. It's not
I would
Donald
subscribe
Trump just
to that,
sending
actually.
you things.
Just notifications.
I've noticed you would do that.
Yeah.
And then also, Chris, you've got, sticking with technology, apparently some people, I don't really know which specific people, other than some guy named Jeff Chester, the executive director of the Center for Digital Democracy, wants there to be some kind of federal privacy law, I'm guessing based on GDPR out of the UK or out of the EU. And this is in response to the state of California apparently passing something, and some of the tech people don't like that there's going to be some kind of patchwork of something. But how many other things, and this is not a rhetorical question, how many other things are there, quote unquote, patchworks of regulations across the country?
Too many to count, and that's the way it should be. Or at least that's the way the Constitution designed things to be.
Right, and if you go to freedominthefiftystates.com, you can read about how some states like New Hampshire are much freer than places like California and New York.
Right, so you can look at something like auto insurance. Almost every state requires you to own auto insurance. New Hampshire does not.
Right.
Almost every state requires you to wear your seatbelt if you're an adult. New Hampshire does not.
Right.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Gun ownership, or rather open carry of guns. And should just say gun ownership, because places like New York, they basically say, yeah, nobody's allowed to own one of those things. But New Hampshire, they're like, yeah, as long as you're not a felon and as long as you've not been convicted of domestic abuse, which those are both federal things that, there's federal law. If these things, then you can't. Requirements for open carry in New Hampshire is that you are legally allowed to own a firearm. Requirements for concealed carry in New Hampshire is that you are legally allowed to own a firearm. Same thing in neighboring Vermont.
And you can carry a gun. You can physically hold the gun or hold it on your hip.
Right. If you're walking around with it in your hand, that's called brandishing, and that's illegal.
Can't do that. This story continues. Next week, executives from Google, Apple, AT&T, and other major technology and telecommunications companies will testify before a Senate Commerce Committee meeting as the panel's Republican chairman, Senator John Thune of South Dakota, prepares to introduce a new privacy law. And this is at the federal level. Consumer groups are concerned that only industry voices will be heard at the hearing, and that that internet companies will have an outsized role in shaping the legislation.
All right.
They are now demanding a seat at the table.
Pause.
Paused.
They're concerned that only industry voices will be heard at the hearing. That's generally how legislative hearings go. If you don't show up and you can't afford a lobbyist, your voice doesn't get heard.
And if you're looking for an example of that, Obamacare.
I don't even know if they had committee hearings on that.
There were some hearings on it, but the long and the short of it is these legislative efforts that drastically change our lives are normally only attended by the connected, the people who can, like you say, afford lobbyists, can get in front of Congress.
When was the last?
I'm just thinking even at the state level.
Oh, absolutely.
Where it's not even big time lobbyists. It's just if somebody has an interest in a thing and they're not able to take off work and they don't know somebody that can and they can't hire a lobbyist unless they send an email to the entire committee, their voice isn't getting heard. What were you going to say, Heather?
I was just saying, it was just dawning on me, how similar. Basically, lobbyists are almost like attorneys, just they sit there and... Because some of them, I've been to some of those hearings where some of them come with these books of well-prepared research. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of them had law degrees.
I'm sure a lot of them do. What they do have is they have money, access, and power. And
because they come and they speak like attorneys, some of them. The way they talk with their testimonies and stuff like that.
And somebody mentioned it to me, but I'd just like to put out another shout out for the movie Thank You for Smoking. Have you guys ever seen this?
I've never seen it.
Oh my God. Highly recommended.
Comedy?
Yes. Dark comedy, I'll say.
Is it in black and white?
No.
Okay, I don't know.
No, it wasn't made in the 1940s. Thomas Edison didn't shoot it on a potato.
Yeah. I
think if you were playing that
some point in the 2000s.
That old alert system from when you were a kid.
Right.
Was that when you were a kid?
Which was the same system when I was a kid too, Heather.
Yeah, I know. You guys are both antiques.
The movie's about a few lobbyists. One guy represents the tobacco group. Another one represents alcohol, and the other one represents firearms.
Okay.
But it's just basically, those guys, how they go about their job and how they're just it's work. And they get together for drinks, every Friday and talk about, the stuff they were able to pull and like that. It's a great movie.
I'll have to check it out.
But basically, what my thought in this was when was the last time you watched C-SPAN? And I realized that I'm probably one of 8 people listening to this that actually watch C-SPAN.
So the last time I watched C-SPAN...
That wasn't the question, Darryl. The question is when was the last time you saw, let's say, somebody from Google or somebody from the firearms industry, and then you saw, and our next speaker will be Bob from Minneapolis, Minnesota, who has some things he'd like to share with us.
Yeah, that doesn't happen
It does
at
not
congressional
happen.
hearings. At
Right.
congressional hearings, you have to be invited to speak to a congressional committee.
Right. And
who gets to determine that?
Generally the chair of the committee, with input from members of the committee.
So what do they have, like a little session where they go over applicants to testify or something?
No,
I don't know if it's applicants to testify. I do know that Jason Sorens, who's a professor of something at Dartmouth, he's the guy that created the Free State Project.
Mm-hmm.
He's been invited to speak to congressional hearings on a couple of different topics.
Yep.
And I don't think it's something where he ever sent in saying, I want to speak on this. It's we know this person is an expert in this area.
I think I do remember Governor Sununu saying something when I went to, what was it, the New Hampshire Distinguished Citizens Award dinner or something. And they had a guy, Dean came in there, the guy that invented the Segways, and he's got all these patents.
Dean
Governor Sununu in his introductory speech or something made a comment about having to select like 10 people from the state to go and testify on a bill in like a federal bill that. And so the governor was allowed to pick only so many people. And he was like talking about how Dean came in was one of the people that he wanted on this.
Here's how it actually gets chosen,
So is it
Darryl.
governors
you
get
were,
to pick people?
You were close. You're kind of close.
Each state gets to pick people?
No, the congressmen actually get to choose. Now, the states can recommend, but what the congressmen do, first of all, they look at the list of, they look at the topic, and then they look at a list of all their campaign donors, and they try to figure out which ones will be most advantageous to them
but isn't
for
it
re-election.
ultimately the chair of the committee that has the say over who's allowed to speak?
He has the master list of all campaign donors, and he will choose based on what's good for the party and good for their membership. That's my belief.
So it's the chair of the committee that ultimately decides who's allowed to speak before that committee.
Who gets the money.
Right. It's all about the money of who he selects, but the chair is the person that makes the decision.
Probably, yes.
Your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450 free.
Crimes of the Crown by Captain Mark. The Crown casts the world in shadow and claims to be our guiding light. Cowards clamor for security from boogeymen and ghost stories, while I say these hobgoblins are imaginary. I say those they propped up as our liberators are now subsisting on our bondage. I say there is freedom in the black, and that's exactly where we intend to go. The Crown banishes its own officers for exposing its crimes and tortures dissidents to the brink of madness. It dominates the globe and swallows the wealth of generations, leaving only blood and excrement. The Crown calls it piracy to explore frontiers beyond its grasp. So the time has come for us to define the conduct among pirates. I say the Crown has trampled our necks long enough. Need decentralized solutions to centralized problems? Looking for a community of like-minded scoundrels? Or just want some swag to let the Crown know what you think of it? Join the conversation at pirateswithoutborders.com. We won't be hard to find.
Your property and your family are precious. Protect them with Blink, like we have. Blink motion-activated HD cameras are wire-free, set up fast, and their batteries last up to 2 years. And Blink's live feed option lets you monitor what's happening at home anytime, anywhere from your smartphone. No contracts, no subscriptions, and Blink works with Alexa. You can get 3 Blink cameras for way less than the other guys, plus an extra 15% off. Visit blinkprotect.com/FTL. blinkprotect.com/FTL.
Zencash has changed their name to Horizon to better represent their transition from a cryptocurrency to a pioneering platform that protects consumer data. They're working towards the day when anyone will be able to build privacy-based applications on the Horizon platform and generate income from them. This will allow Horizon to bring thousands of real-life services to the community. Services that provide freedom, utility, and privacy. Learn more at horizon.global and join the Horizon community. HORIZEN.global.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. That's how you can call in and join us and bring up whatever is on your mind. We'll get back into this story from the Hill in just a moment. But first, I want to tell you about a way that you can help protect your house and possibly protect your family. And that would be with motion-activated HD wireless cameras. The Blink cameras, they set up fast. The batteries last up to 2 years. And the Blink's live feed allows you to monitor what's happening at home, anywhere, anytime, from your smartphone or other wireless device. And there are no contracts. There are no no subscriptions. I'm sure you can find a description of how Blink works. But again, no subscription. So there's not a recurring fee to use Blink. And Blink works with Alexa. Alexa, check my Blink cameras. You get 3 Blink cameras for way less than the other guys, plus an extra 15% off. Visit blinkprotect.com/FTL. Blink Protect, all one word. There's no dashes, no spaces. Blinkprotect.com/FTL. Blink is an Amazon company.
And getting back to the story again, we've been talking about the call by some for a national privacy law. And this is following in the footsteps of California upping the game and basically creating the nation's strongest privacy laws
related
so
to digital data.
Digital data. On Wednesday, a coalition of public interest groups, including the CDD, and I've already lost what that stood for.
The Center for Digital Democracy.
Thank you, Darryl. And the American Civil Liberties Union and the Electronic Privacy Information Center sent a letter to Thune, and that is Senator Jim Thune, John Thune of South Dakota, asking him to ensure that consumers have a voice in the process.
He's the chairman of the Senate Commerce Committee.
Right. Quote, while we have no objection to the participation of business groups in Senate hearings on consumer privacy, the Senate's first instinct should be to hear from the American public on these important issues, unquote, the letter read.
Now, let's talk about this for a second, because I agree. It should be the legislators that are hearing from regular people. But unfortunately, as we mentioned in the previous segment, unless you, average American person listening right now, unless you are able to take off work and go to the legislative hearing, and I realize that Congress is a completely different animal than your state legislature or your local city council.
Right.
But unless you're able to take time off and go to the hearing, or you're able to hire a lobbyist, they're not hearing from you.
Right. Yeah. Frederick Hill, a spokesman for the committee, told The Hill in an email that the panel will hold more hearings on the issue. Quote, for the first time, the committee is bringing in companies most consumers recognize to make the discussion about privacy more relatable, Hill said. Quote, we expect there will be opportunities for other voices at future hearings on the subject, unquote.
We expect. He didn't say there will be future opportunities, just we expect that there's going to be other opportunities and maybe people that didn't show up the first time will be allowed to talk to us.
Yeah, there'll probably be some more hearings if we think there's some more campaign donations in it for us.
Right, and one thing that's interesting, and the way federal legislation works is completely different than the way it works at, most state levels, to where, these first hearings, they're still in the drafting process of the legislation. In a lot of cases.
Sure.
Of, oh yeah, we've got an idea for a thing. We're going to have a hearing, and then we'll figure out exactly how to word the things.
Yeah, and the drafting process isn't even, how a bill is introduced is not by any means the final version that gets voted on or that's going to make it to the Senate and then end up making it, or to the House in this case, and then make it to the president for signature. After it gets passed, it may get
amended.
It may get some advice from some industry leaders and things like that.
And if there's pushback, then they might wind up saying, you know what? Let's just throw this on the next NDAA or the next appropriations bill that nobody can vote against. How, Senator Chris, how are you going to vote against this next spending bill of $854 billion to keep the government open through December?
Well, the honorable gentleman from New Hampshire says that I understand that we have to support our troops, and there is this part in the National Defense Authorization Act that brings New Hampshire lots of money for maple syrup. And that's literally the kind of thing you find in the NDAA.
Right.
This is this omnibus spending
government
bill.
shutdowns always been like a thing?
I wish.
Do you remember when you were my age?
So let me interpret the question.
Go ahead.
Have the threat of government shutdowns.
The threat of government shutdowns
I know that's not what you asked,
have been around for a long time.
Actually, what you were asking, because
no, that's not what I was asking. What I was asking is have there ever been the government shutdowns that we have, where all of a sudden they completely stop government paid employees other than whoever they give the hall pass to?
My answer is not often
when you were my
enough.
age.
Yes.
You do remember that happening though, where the two parties would fight and get gridlocked?
I remember because I was on a wagon on my way to Washington D.C. No, I remember very much the 1993 government shutdowns. Was it 93? It was in Clinton
thought it was
years.
95.
Yeah, somewhere
How
around
long
there.
was it?
I can tell you it was a few days long.
One was a couple of days. One was a couple of weeks.
But I've told this story before.
Was there any kind of like from what you guys noticed in real life, was there any type of consequences of that couple week
Let
one?
me tell you about it because I was doing government work in D.C. during the shutdown.
Mm-hmm.
And I had been working down there with the Department of Energy for some time. And I drove down after the shutdown, and we weren't even sure we were going to be able to do work. But here I am, cruising south on 270, headed into D.C., and guess how much traffic there is? The same amount of traffic as there always is.
Yeah.
And then I go to find a parking space close to the Department of Energy, close to L'Enfant Plaza. And guess what? I can't find a parking space because it's just like it always was. And I go in through security at the Department of Energy thinking, well, most of these jobs are non-essential. There should be nobody here. And guess what? Everybody's working. And I asked my contact at Department of Energy, what's going on here?
Yeah, but was everyone getting paid?
We're in the middle of a government shutdown. Why is everyone here? It's like, well, everyone's here to justify why they need to be here and why they're not non-essential. So, yes, everyone was getting paid. Everybody continues to get paid.
In some cases, they don't get paid.
They don't get paid immediately.
It's
right
after the temporary spending something, but something to point out, and this is really the root of the question, even though I realize it's not what you think you're asking. The actual question is, there have been threats of shutdowns for the last decade because Congress has not passed a budget for a full fiscal year since April 2009.
Yeah, but just to clarify, that wasn't what I was asking. When you said it's not what I think I'm asking, it literally was not what I'm asking. That's a great observational comment.
There have been threats of shutdowns
I never mentioned
for a decade.
Threat, though.
But that's what
I
they
meant
are.
like actual threat.
They're threats
That's
of
your
shutdowns.
opinion.
855 450 free. This is Free Talk Live.
Ever wonder how Bitcoin and Ethereum were created? Vercel Media has helped hundreds of companies and individuals make their own cryptocurrency. Decentralized blockchain solutions are making the world more transparent and giving power back to the people. Vercel Media has helped companies raise tens of millions in the past year alone, structuring and marketing ICOs to the thirsty crypto public worldwide. Don't miss the cryptocurrency revolution. Visit vercelmedia.com, VERCEL media.com.
Hi, I'm Dan Pilla. I started fighting the IRS over 40 years ago when they tried to seize my mother's house. I sued the IRS and won. I beat the IRS then, and I've been beating them ever since. I wrote the book on tax debt settlement, and I've helped thousands of people deal with tax problems they thought might never be solved. I can help you too. If you owe taxes you can't pay, don't wait another day. There's no such thing as a hopeless tax case. Call 800-34-NO-TAX or go to my website, danpilla.com. That's danpilla.com, danpilla.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
We've all heard about blockchain assets like Dogecoin, Ether, and Ripple. Bitcoin isn't the only player in the blockchain game any longer. And for those of us wondering how to get our hands on these digital assets, finally, there's a solution. Shapeshift.io allows you to buy and sell between your digital assets and Bitcoin instantly between your own digital wallets. I've used it with ease. Shapeshift.io. There's no account or email address needed. You send them the crypto you want to sell. They send back the crypto you want to buy. It's that easy. Shapeshift.io.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Because we are smothering in spam, please do not reply to all when you can instead reply. I was recently among over 100 invited to a corporate reunion. It's always a warm affair, and that's the problem. Enthusiasm for our upcoming get-together caused many recipients to RSVP the organizer with a cheery reply to all. I can't wait. Then others piled on with a reply to all to that. Then the "I'm out of my office now" autoresponders joined in. So I replied to all, asking that we all reply only to the organizer. Hey, at least I tried. One invitee, apparently retired, shot back, "Point taken, but I really like seeing the responses since they're so positive." Smiley face. This better be an open bar. From survivalspeech.com, I'm Holland Cook.
Some of our live shows are streamed in HD on Twitch. Please follow and share at twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. That is how you can call in and join us and bring up whatever is on your mind. The Us in studio tonight is Darryl.
And Heather.
And Chris.
And if you like the show, then consider joining the AMP program. AMP is advertise, market, and promote, and that's what the money gets used for. Helps us advertise, market, and promote the show to new listeners, but also to program directors of radio stations, because that's the ultimate goal, is to get added to more radio stations. We're hovering around 190 terrestrial stations across the U.S., and we can be on more. And your $5 a month or more helps us do that. And actually, we've got Gary, who is a silver amplifier. Means he's giving at least $5 per month. Some people give more, and we appreciate all of them. And we've actually started a couple of weeks ago going through the list of all the amplifiers, thanking all of them. So if we've not gotten to you yet, just hold on. We'll do it. Unless you've told us, don't read my name at all, in which case, well, we still thank you. And Gary, we thank you as well. Let's go to the Discord call-in line, where we've got Stefan calling in from the Commonwealth of Discord. Stefan, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Hey, guys. How are you doing tonight?
Doing well. What's on your mind?
I was having a discussion, ironically, in another Discord last night, and I discovered that I might have a more controversial opinion than I thought. I was speaking about the Libertarian Party in particular, and I had told a couple people that I don't think the Libertarian Party should really front a presidential candidate in 2020.
Why?
I think that the reason the Libertarian Party is considered irrelevant to most people is it seems like we front a presidential candidate every few years and then we go back into the woodwork, when in reality we should be focusing on the races we can actually win, like state representative races. And over time, you could take over a legislature or two, and then you might gain enough prevalence in a few states that you could actually run for higher offices like governor or president. I think it's a big waste of time to front candidates for president. What do you think?
It's an interesting idea.
Yeah,
I
strategy.
think that it's an interesting idea, and if ballot access was not dependent upon running candidates for high-level offices, then it might be something to consider. But in most states, ballot access is tied to either vote turnout for president, governor. In some states, it's Secretary of State. In other places, they include U.S. Senate. So no, I don't agree that the Libertarian Party shouldn't run candidates for high-level offices because it spends money.
I mean, I think you go with, like, even as a party, right? It's not really like a black or white situation when it comes to candidates, because you also want to focus on the right candidates, right? Like, if you only have so much funds on a state level and you have so many candidates running, where do you want to apply those funds to be most effective? So it really comes up to whoever's on committee to kind of determine who they're going to get behind and who they're not.
In that case, I would advocate what I advocated earlier this year, which was if you are a party that, for example, here in Ohio, this year the gubernatorial nominee has to get 3%. Otherwise, we don't retain ballot access.
Okay. All right.
So I suggested maybe it would have been a better idea in the first place to put that money into a ballot initiative to fix the ballot access problem, where you don't constantly have to do this every few years, where we had to get 50,000 signatures, which is just a ridiculous amount to get.
So how many signatures would have been needed for a ballot drive? For
this year?
For putting on one of your ballot initiatives that you suggested?
I believe it's slightly more. I believe it's 100,000 or so.
And what percentage of the vote is needed to pass a ballot initiative?
Over 50%.
Yeah, it seems like it would be much more difficult to go that route than wind up getting 3% for governor.
Well, think about how much more long term the solution would be. You pass a ballot measure to fix the ballot access problem. It doesn't matter if you have one bad election where your candidate gets under 3%.
Yeah, but the 3% gets us ballot access, right? But like you're also getting
it's also
you're getting in debates, you're getting on the air, you're getting that word of mouth You know, when you have somebody that, when you pick the right person to champion, you know, certain ideas and stuff like that, they're essentially like corporate spokespersons. So the people that run that don't even get elected, they're still getting their ideas out there.
Well, let me give you why I champion this so much. On a ballot initiative, you have two choices. There is no maybe, there is a yes or no.
We don't even have ballot initiatives in New Hampshire.
Right, he's talking about Ohio, where he lives.
Yeah.
There is. There's three choices. There's also the undervote, where somebody doesn't pose anything at all. They don't answer. They don't vote.
But I would suggest this because most people in Ohio, I think, would want more than two choices on a ballot every single year. And there's a yes or a no, and it would be more long-term. As said, it's much harder, in my opinion, to get 3%. Because in our gubernatorial election this year, there are 5 choices. There's a very, very small amount of people that are going to vote third party in the first place.
Right.
And when they have 3 third-party candidates to choose, it's really hard to get 3%. I don't think any party here in Ohio, at least, is going to get 3%. That is not Republican or Democrat.
So
I don't think the Greens are going to do it. I don't think anybody's going to.
I think you're onto something. I kind of like the idea. I like the idea that, you know, if your state does allow something like, you know, a referendum or
right.
Then you could sort of bypass the roadblocks that are put up by the two major parties. And
but I think
the reason you don't see...
But a lot of times with the ballot initiative, there's actual like nonprofits or PACs that are created specifically for that reason. Like we have the ranked choice voters that literally created the initiative to... That was their goals, to get ranked choice voting. You could have somebody doing the same thing in Ohio for... third-party ballot access.
Right.
It doesn't necessarily have to be the Libertarian Party itself funding an entire project.
He's just saying, do I get more bang for my buck if I back something like this compared to running somebody for for the governor or as a presidential candidate?
But you got to think that the Libertarian parties on a local level, they're getting membership dues from people that join the Libertarian Party. Those people that pay those dues could easily put that money into a ballot initiative for ballot access. So I don't know that I agree with like Libertarian Party on a state level using all of their funds to fund ballot initiatives as opposed to candidates.
Well,
is what I'm saying.
I don't agree with most. I don't agree with political parties, period. So
the parties
like
are supposed to prop up
here.
the candidates. It's like one element in the whole thing.
Well, this also has across the aisle support because it wouldn't just be the Libertarian Party supporting this. The Green Party would hop on board.
It would be the Greens and the Constitution Party and maybe the Socialists, but then there would be the bipartisan opposition where the Republicans and Democrats would pool their resources.
They would.
So, I mean, what you can
argue,
rewinding back to your original thing, what you can argue is that you want people to not pour their money into the next Libertarian presidential campaign. You'd rather them pour the money into lobbyists that lobby for easier ballot access.
Yeah,
as opposed to saying the Libertarian Party itself shouldn't run a candidate. I think they should, but I mean, as far as where people pick and choose to put their money, that's kind of like, I agree with your approach.
Okay,
you know?
I see that. So front a candidate, just don't put much of a resource into it.
Like we don't want to not have the candidate. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I suppose. And it's not like, you know, I don't like any of the people that want to run in 2020 under the Libertarian ticket. I do. I mean, I absolutely love Arvin Vohra, for example. But,
oh my God.
Oh, let's not even go.
Oh my God. I think I just threw up in my mouth a little bit.
But I appreciate the perspective, and don't talk trash on Arvin.
Oh, Arvin is trash, so I'll talk all day. He's garbage. Arvin,
Arvin's not here to defend himself, so let's not talk about him at all, Stefan. Thank you for the call. Your calls and thoughts.
That's
welcome.
Nasty. He's like a creep.
855
Those age of
450
consent
free.
things he was talking
855
about.
450 3733. He's not here to defend himself.
I don't care. He's a creep.
About him.
You can't silence my free
This
speech.
is Free Talk Live. 855 450 free. Your calls and thoughts. Welcome.
Bitcoin.com wants you to know about SaveItPurse.com. Since launching in 2014, over 200,000 users have saved an average of 15% for a combined $4 million using Bitcoin, or BTC. And now you can use Bitcoin Cash, BCH, to fund your account. You can save between 5 to 33% on things you're going to buy anyway when you shop using SaveItPurse.com. Add items to your cart, fund your account, select your discount, and save. SaveItPurse.com. Save ATPurse.com.
What's more profitable, running your business or doing bookkeeping? Doing your business, of course, but you want to keep your books so that you can maximize your tax savings, right? What if I told you that there's a person that's a bookkeeper, accountant, and law school graduate that's also a hardcore libertarian?
My name is Melanie Johnson, and I hate the state. I will aggressively help you to minimize your tax exposure and maximize profits, all while staying within the law.
Melanie's your best choice for your taxes and bookkeeping needs. Go to tax.freetalklive.com and check out our website, tax.freetalklive.com.
Bacon lovers, we ship free. Try our amazing bacon. No refrigeration required. Proprietary value-added packaging provides 10-year shelf life and protects the leanest, thickest, center-cut, fully cooked bacon in America today. Ready to eat right from the pouch or warm and serve. Savory and delicious. Wholesale price for your everyday use. Order today at readytoeatbacon.com. readytoeatbacon.com.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Sling bow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of sling bow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Free Talk Live.
As long as the majority of people say that you can't smoke in public, or the majority of people say you can't have a windmill in your yard, or the majority of people say you can't wear your pants down around your butt, or the majority of people say that you can't contract to live with the person you want to live with, or the majority of the people say that you've got to pay for public schools. As long as the majority says it, it must be okay, because crowds have wisdom. Oh, come on.
Nonsense.
Crowds lynched people for being witches.
There's so many instances in history where we acknowledge now that the majority was massively and horribly wrong.
Yes.
But why aren't we acknowledging it? That, look, we've had precedent for that. Why aren't we acknowledging it now in terms of how we decide how we're going to interact with each other? That, look, maybe that's not a good way to figure out right and wrong. That the majority believes in a certain thing. And that's how we find out right from wrong.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
When you hear the word lobbyist, you probably think about greedy corporations, but not all lobbyists are the same. Some are fighting for the freedoms you hold dear. Liberty Lobby LLC is doing just that in New Hampshire, working hard to represent you, not some special interest group. You can help by going to libertylobby.info, where your contribution will give us the tools we need to ensure that your voice is heard. Visit libertylobby.info today to find out more.
Love what we do? Please help support our international satellite channels at patreon.lrn.fm. That's patreon.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. In studio, it's Darryl.
And Heather.
And Chris.
And Chris, I know you operate a small retail business, and there are probably other people listening that do as well that might be interested in accepting cryptocurrency at their point of sale. Well, it's never been easier thanks to AnyPay. You can learn more at anypay.global. And what makes it so easy is there's no paperwork. There's no approval process to open an account. If you already have a tablet at your cash register, you're almost done. Just sign up at anypay.global, drop in your personal cryptocurrency wallet addresses in the setup page, and then load the app. That's it. You're now accepting cryptocurrency like Bitcoin and Dash at your store. Get started now at anypay.global. Anypay.global. Again, the sign up is easy. No ID verifications, no paperwork, and easily accept a variety of cryptocurrencies. Simply add the app to your homepage. It's what they call a progressive web app. So you like bookmark the thing onto the homepage or home screen of your device, and then you click it, and then it opens. So like you're not downloading a standalone app.
No application you need to download.
Yeah.
Very easy.
Yeah. Anypay.global. So let's jump back into this article from The Hill about apparently some people wanting a federal internet privacy or digital privacy law, and some tech companies not wanting that, or rather the tech companies might be the ones wanting it, but then other people don't because reasons.
Yeah, well, basically California passed some very stringent laws around privacy, and that got some people either for these laws or against these laws to say, well, what we need is a federal law so that no state will enact anything more strict or more lenient than it. In other words, part of the way to look at this is to say, well, the states will just mess it up. The states will all do something different. So let's just have the feds do it, and they can control it.
Right, because we can't have a patchwork, even though that exists with almost everything else.
Right, and the federal government will absolutely get it perfect and right the first time, which never happened in history. The stakes are high for all sides in the privacy debate after a year which saw Facebook rocked by a massive data scandal. The company disclosed earlier this year that a data firm had accessed personal information on over 80 million Facebook users. The revelation sparked a firestorm that saw Mark Zuckerberg, CEO of Facebook, testifying before Congress in a pair of marathon hearings to address lawmakers' concerns. Overseas, Europe has already passed its own tough privacy law, which took effect this year.
That's the GDPR, and you may have been getting over the summer various emails from all kinds of everybody.
Anybody
saying,
you ever did anything with
our
on
privacy.
the internet. Yeah.
And there was even the meme. You know the meme, Chris, where it's the guy standing at a urinal, and then there's the big long line of urinals, and somebody walks right up to him. It's that, and he says, I've updated my privacy policy.
Whether Congress can actually get behind a national privacy framework, though, is an open question. Lawmakers have tried before, unsuccessfully. In 2012, the Obama White House unveiled, quote, a Consumer Privacy Bill of Rights, unquote, that it hoped to enact into law. This debate dragged on for several years, and the process was eventually derailed by contentious disagreement between business and consumer groups. As Congress gears up to try again, industry groups in recent weeks have been pushing wish lists for what they hope to see in a federal privacy framework. Lobbying groups, including the Chamber of Commerce, the Internet Association, and BSA, the Software Alliance, have all released their own set of privacy principles. The industry proposals include calls for codifying transparency rules that require businesses to disclose their collection practices and give consumers the right to request copies of their data and request that some data be deleted.
All right, so here's a very interesting question, because we know, thanks to the Snowden revelations, that a lot of this data that's collected by some of these large tech companies is then handed over to the federal government.
Correct.
Would part of this transparency be that they tell us what they've handed over to the federal government? Or would that be exempt?
Darryl, come on. Really?
Would that be exempt? I'm just trying to figure out, how consistent. They're saying they want consistent frameworks. Yeah. I'm just trying to figure out how consistent they want their framework.
Yes, I would like to know how much data and what data the NSA has scooped up on me and is storing for the long term. Of course, Darryl, what you're asking is completely reasonable. And in a civilized society that appreciates human rights, one would expect to see something like that. But I'm going to continue with the story because I'll guarantee you none of that bleeping crap is going to happen here. Chandra Watson, BSA's policy director, said the group's privacy principles were not a response to the new California law, but the result of a discussion amongst their members, including companies like Apple and Microsoft, as to how to codify consumer protections they already offer.
Wait, Microsoft and Apple offer consumer protection?
Yeah, there you go. Our companies really are responsible for personal data, and so they not only want to continue to embrace those practices, but look more broadly to see what protections should be in place across the board, and concluded the best way to do that is a federal law, unquote, Watson told The Hill. So to hear those words come out of my mouth from Apple and Microsoft about privacy, was my nose growing while I saying that, or did that just happen to?
Well, you just pretty big to me. The words that you were saying.
Yeah.
So like you were just reading the words. You didn't believe the words as fact.
Privacy advocates remain skeptical after a series of data scandals. Many tech critics believe that any effective privacy framework needs to restrict the data collection practices that companies like Facebook and Google rely on as a business model.
And
Chester,
I go back to my question of if there's going to be some kind of consistent framework,
right?
Then they should have to tell us exactly what data they're handing over to the feds.
Correct. Chester, who says public interest groups are banding together to come up with their own legislative principles, believe the frameworks being pushed by industry lobbyists don't go far enough. Quote, what has to happen is the basic business practices have to change, unquote, he said. We believe that there needs to be restrictions on how these companies engage in data collection. Quote, these so-called principles are really principles to undermine privacy, not to protect it, unquote, he said. So basically what you have, aside from Darryl's very astute observation that this doesn't talk at all about the NSA's collection of data, which is done. Yeah, in the end, it is done by Facebook. It is done by Instagram. It's done by Google and Microsoft and Apple and everybody else.
AT&T.
They're the ones who do this collection.
Yeah.
And I suspect, here we're going to see, if anything, is some sort of watered-down version that is not going to be too financially impactful to the large data companies.
But a small company... They might wind up just having to close their doors.
Right, and frequently that is sometimes a side effect and sometimes the goal of legislation like this. So, should this legislation be so burdensome and require that you have a team of privacy specialists on staff and it names in the law 10 different positions that you have to do?
Right.
Well, now you've suddenly priced out of the market any company who wishes to deal with data, private data.
If you've only got like a 20-person company anyway, now you've got to almost double your staff just to comply with the law.
Right.
Or it's cheaper to go out of business.
Right, and that's when, companies like Microsoft, Oracle, Google, they're going to support these huge frameworks they'll be able to afford them. They will be able to continue to operate under that, but the average small company, not so much.
Let's go to the phones. We've got CJ calling in from an undisclosed location. CJ, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Yeah, hey, how's it going, guys? So, just wanted to lend my thoughts as far as Arvin, which you guys were just talking about a little bit ago.
Arvin Vohra, the former vice chair of the National Libertarian Party. Yeah, somebody mentioned his name.
And I don't know who that is, so I love these conversations.
Yeah.
Please go ahead.
Look, I really don't think that we should go ahead and make this guy the Libertarian nominee or anything like that, okay? I don't think that this guy is the right guy that should be guiding the party or become the face of libertarianism or anything like that.
Yeah, let's hold him over for sure. I'm curious to know why he thinks
Let him finish his thought. Go ahead, CJ.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, a lot of you guys over in that room thought that passed through that broadcast room over there anyway, think that Gary Johnson was not a good candidate. Look.
All right. Hold the thought. Hold the thought. Your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450 free.
Folks, this is very important information. What's to be said about CBD? AncientLifeOil.com. Our CBD is made from hemp and has 0.003 THC, which means this wonderful product won't get you high, no matter what amount you take. What does CBD do for the body? My hands are tied, but you can Google CBD benefits and be astounded. When you're finished reading, you'll want to log on to AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com and purchase. Life is good when you feel good. People are tired of pain. People are asking for non-GMO organic products to help them with you fill in the blank. Legal in 49 states, and again, our CBD is made from hemp. Ancient Life Oil is about helping people one by one by one. If you wonder how good the product is, the CEO takes it every day without miss. AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. Have a great day.
Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Thursday, September 20th, 2018. Silver is trading at $14.31 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,208 per ounce. Zen is trading at $15, and the average price of Bitcoin is $6,432. Antiwar.com reports on Wednesday, South Korean President Moon Jae-in and North Korea's Kim Jong-un signed a joint statement on the general improvement of inter-Korean relations, capping off a very successful third summit, which appears to have gotten the denuclearization operations back on track. In addition to denuclearization and peace talk efforts, the two Koreas agreed to found a joint military committee, which will be charged with maintaining communication between the two nations and prevent any accidental clashes. This is potentially a hugely important step as the two nations try to reduce decades of military tensions and negotiate efforts to move their respective forces away from the border as the efforts to negotiate a peace treaty advance. In addition to all the more important efforts, North and South Korea agreed to a joint effort to host the 2032 Summer Olympics. The two nations also agreed to unspecified cooperation during the 2020 Games. Born into a devastating world and raised among the crowd, the Cloudwalker assumes a new identity and begins the unrelenting quest for truth. In this epic journey, he discovers dark secrets about aspects of his previous life that he once trusted. Through the Journal of the Cloudwalker, he shares both the traumatic hardships and the eternal beauties of his experiences. Dear Society by the Cloudwalker is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. UPI reports the Trump administration is issuing $1 billion in grants to states to provide treatment for opioid addiction, according to the Health and Human Services Secretary Alex Azar. The funding was expected to go to state agencies and community health centers to treat and prevent addiction and gather data on the crisis. Azar announced the grants in an op-ed published in USA Today. Azar wrote, HHS is taking a number of new, unprecedented steps to empower local communities in their fight. These are part of HHS's comprehensive strategy for the crisis, which is grounded in the best science and evidence we have. The grants include provisions to promote the use of medication-assisted treatment, including overdose reversal drug naloxone. Azar said doctors and scientists consider such treatments the gold standard for opioid addiction, citing a 264% increase in prescribing of naloxone since President Donald Trump took office in January 2017. HHS is also pushing telemedicine, the remote treatment of patients using the internet, as a method of treating addiction. Trump declared a national public health emergency over the opioid crisis in October 2017, calling it the worst drug crisis in American history. Some 72,000 people died of drug overdose in 2017, up from an estimated 64,000 in 2016. On Monday, the Senate voted overwhelmingly to approve a sweeping bipartisan bill to fight the crisis 3 months after the House passed similar legislation. The Senate version of the bill includes more than 70 provisions to treat and conduct research on opioid addiction. Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at weusecoins.com. That's weusecoins.com. Reuters reports a federal judge in New York on Wednesday dismissed a criminal case brought against General Motors in 2015 over the largest U.S. automaker's handling of an ignition switch defect linked to 124 deaths. District Judge Allison Nathan approved a request filed Monday by federal prosecutors to dismiss the 2 criminal counts. In 2015, GM entered into a deferred prosecution agreement with the U.S. Attorney's Office in New York after the Detroit automaker was charged with concealing information from government officials and wire fraud. GM agreed to pay a $900 million fine and accept 3 years of oversight by an independent monitor. Federal prosecutors in New York told Nathan in a letter Monday that GM had complied with the terms of the agreement. GM had paid more than $2.6 billion in penalties and settlements, including the fine over faulty ignition switches that could cause engines to stall and prevent airbags from deploying in crashes. The defect was linked to 124 deaths and 275 injuries and prompted a recall that began in February 2014 of 2.6 million vehicles. GM spokesman David Caldwell, in a statement via email on Wednesday, said the government had finished monitoring the company. No individuals were criminally charged, but Chief Executive Mary Barra fired 15 people, including 8 executives, over the issue. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
It seems like we're constantly hearing different fitness advice. Exercise 2 to 3 times a week for at least 30 minutes a day. And don't forget cardio. But don't exercise too much or you'll get hurt. So, how much exercise should you be getting? Well, actually not that much, since the human body is only built to withstand walking a short distance before lying or sitting down again. In fact, a group of biologists from Stanford found that walking more than 5 feet at a time can cause joint pain, fatigue, and even extreme hunger. The study concluded that the maximum effort the human body can safely endure is reaching for an item high on a shelf. Our bodies simply aren't built to stand up and move around. So maybe those high-intensity spin classes and daily jogs aren't such a good idea. Instead of walking up the stairs every day, try taking the elevator whenever possible. You can even use a fitness tracker to let you know when you've been exerting too much energy. Your body will appreciate it. For The Onion, I'm Jill Hooper.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live, kicking off hour number 3. Your calls and thoughts. Welcome. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Let's head back to the phones here in just a second. Coming up, remember we talked a while back about that social credit system in China?
Yep.
Well, apparently there's an update on how that's actually working out. And
like gangbusters, I bet.
Oh, it's working like something. And if you said badly, then you are probably correct. Let's head back to the phones where we go back to CJ calling in from an undisclosed location. CJ, you're back on Free Talk Live. Continue with your thought.
Yeah, thanks. So many of the people that have passed through that broadcast room have said how Gary Johnson in 2016 was not a good candidate. So if you guys think that Gary Johnson was not a good candidate, I'm telling you, this Arvin Vohra is going to be way worse. Let me just explain.
I don't think anybody in this studio said that they thought that he would be a good candidate.
Okay, good. Yeah,
that was a caller that suggested that he wanted to see Arvin get the nomination, and nobody in the studio agreed with him.
Well, realize that only 2 out of 3 of the people in the studio are following the Libertarian Party at all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, was that Stefan? Was that the last caller? Is that who that was?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, look, Stefan, don't kid yourself. This guy's not good. Listen, let me just give you the reality of how this is going to play out. If Arvin Vohra becomes the Libertarian presidential candidate, then this stuff he said about 14-year-olds is going to blow up all over the news, and it's going to give the Libertarian Party a terrible reputation. So that's just the realistic way of the way this would play out if that happens.
And
So please
realistically,
get that idea.
Arvin's not going to get the nomination. Thank you, CJ, for the call.
Yep, appreciate it.
Let's head back to the phones. We've got Bad Slave calling in from somewhere in New Hampshire. Bad Slave, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts. Oh, looks like I hit the wrong button. I hit hold instead of air. All right, now, Bad Slave, go ahead with your thoughts.
You actually sound better now, too. Good, thank you. Yeah, Chris, Heather, and Darryl, thank you.
Yes, those are the 3 people in the studio, and you are Bad Slave.
Right.
Go ahead with your thought.
Now that we've got through with our introductions.
So I was wondering, Heather, if your concern about Arvin Vohra stems more from
the fact that he's a creep. I mean, yeah.
I mean, for instance, one of the things that Arvin and I and Ian agree on is that there needs to be a better choice for, emancipation.
That if you're advocating being legally allowed to do shit with underage,
Heather, you cannot say that and
stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're advocating doing that stuff, then you're a creep and you belong in jail.
Are you going to ban yourself for the rest of the day?
No.
That's generally what happens when somebody says something that they're not allowed to say.
So we've got a double standard going there.
Okay. So
Bad Slave, hold on. Just continue with the thought, Bad Slave.
I'm trying to. So what did you say about changing the rite of passage?
We have laws in this country that protect children from being preyed upon by sick adults that look to manipulate their vulnerability. And I agree with those laws and think we should punish people that break them very harshly.
Okay. All right. Real quickly, Bad Slave, let me ask Heather. Let me ask.
Hold on, Bad Slave. Chris has a question.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask Heather a question. Do you feel that people should be punished when they are just accused, or should they be found guilty?
People found guilty of crimes. We have a judicial system. We have due process.
I understand.
Yes, I agree with that.
There have been a lot of people that have been... I
agree with the right to face your accuser, the right to a fair trial. I agree with all of that.
Perfect. Thank you. That's all.
So you like the government, Heather, to be the arbiter of these things?
I like the government. Yeah, I think good government is a good thing. I don't think all government is bad, and I think laws that protect children are good. And I think people that break those laws deserve very harsh punishments. Okay, we're not talking about laws like prohibiting setting up a lemonade stand. We're talking about laws that are there to look after, that everybody in a given region agrees to abide by, to protect children. And the people that break those laws are
Heather,
disturbed individuals.
Heather, let me ask another question. The idea of, you were 16 once. It's not that long ago, as a matter of fact, that you were such a young person. And you were also female. And
last time I checked.
Maybe you had boyfriends. Maybe that
Well,
boyfriend
a lot of
was
states are
18.
16 with parental consent because parents can determine at that age and time whether or not their kid is.
I have absolutely no problem with parental consent. What I'm trying to say is that we don't get to that. We're not allowed that because we have governments interfering. And you think that Cody Wilson should now go under the threat of horrendous.
I don't even know who that Cody Wilson is.
Hey, Bad Slave? Yeah, hold on. Let me bring Heather up to speed a little bit. There's something...
Yeah.
There was a company called Defense Distributed, ran by a guy named Cody Wilson, who came up, really was the idea man and the push for 3D printed guns. And just in the last couple of days...
What does that have anything to do with
Hold
it?
on.
I'm getting to it. In the last couple of days, he was charged by the Austin Police Department in Texas for meeting with a girl that he met online at
SugarDaddyMeet.com, where when signing up, you have to say that you are over the age of 18.
Right. So he meets this girl online, meets her at a hotel, and suddenly the police have all this surveillance of them going in together. I guess some testimony from her, some testimony from her parents, and some information they got from her cell phone or computer records that indicated they were going to meet. What hasn't been made clear, so this guy he met with somebody who
lied.
Possibly. We don't know.
The allegation is that she is 16 years old. Age of consent in Texas is 17.
Right. The issue in this particular case, there's a lot of issues, but...
yes, there are.
The question is whether if somebody lies about their age and you meet them based on that...
Well, if they're underage, I think parents should also be held accountable when if their kids if they're not
online.
Watching
Yeah,
their
I know.
Kids,
Right,
and your
right,
kids
right.
online lying about their age, putting someone else at harm's way, that falls on you as a parent. Like,
Cody Wilson has already been added to the state's what's the word I'm looking for?
The predator list.
The predator list.
Yeah.
He's already been flagged as a sex offender because of the allegation. He has not had a day in court. No evidence has been made available to him or to his attorneys.
And he did not know that this girl was under the age of consent.
I don't
has
know.
it been released that yet, or are you just assuming that, Darryl?
He was in Taiwan at the time, and evidently he is still somewhere overseas.
Correct.
When they went to serve
did
the
not
warrant.
fly
I don't know the details, so I really can't comment on that.
Right.
Like,
Bad Slave, thank you for
I
the
see,
call.
like, if it turns out that, like, it was the child that was being fraudulent or whatever, I think the parents should bear some type of liability for that, because it's your job as a parent to, like, make sure your child's not, like, being a nuisance to the community or trying to ruin somebody's life to that degree.
Your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450 free. This is Free Talk Live.
What is it costing you in vet bills for that convenience of just pulling open a bag of
formulated, extruded, processed cereal bits that cost a ton of money anyways?
How do you feed your dog to derive not only energy, but a good coat, bright eyes, and a great attitude?
Come to Dynovite for help.
DINOVITE.com.
I found his raw meat diet on Dynovite.com with just the raw meat and the eggs and the Dynovite and the Super Omega on top of it.
Try Super Omega Fish Oil.
Buy 2, get 1 free.
Ground beef, white rice, eggs, including the shells, and the Dynovite supplement, and then the Lico Chops.
Try Lico Chops. Buy 2, get 1 free.
It just balances out his body and his mind and his spirit.
Adding Dynovite to their diet has every single dog in my kennel looking better than they have ever looked.
Their skin is so much better now that they're on the raw diet. I don't even give them the kibble anymore.
DINOVITE.com.
Your property and your family are precious. Protect them with Blink. Blink motion-activated HD cameras are wire-free, set up fast, and their batteries last up to 2 years. And Blink's live feed option lets you monitor what's happening in your home anytime, anywhere. No contracts, no subscriptions, and Blink works with Alexa. You can get 3 Blink cameras for way less than the other guys, plus an extra 15% off, visit blinkprotect.com/FTL. Blinkprotect.com/FTL. Blink is an Amazon company.
The Bitcoin.com wallet is a simple and powerful full-featured wallet that allows you to send and receive Bitcoin, BTC, and Bitcoin Cash, BCH, with anyone, anywhere in the world. It supports both single and multi-signature wallets and is available in multiple languages. The Bitcoin.com wallet is available on Windows, Linux, Mac, Android, and iOS devices. Use the Bitcoin.com wallet to buy, send, store, and receive both Bitcoin, BTC, and Bitcoin Cash, BCH. Learn more at wallet.bitcoin.com. That's wallet.bitcoin.com.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm. Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster, so be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
Are you sick of government lackeys who say you didn't build that? Are you tired of elitists who think you need a government permission slip for everything? Everything you do is an A to B conversation, and the government should see their way out of it. Create true free markets by adopting the BIPCOT No Government License. The BIPCOT No Gov license allows use or modification of any product, service, or software except by governments or government agents. Go to bipcot.org. That's Bravo, India, Papa, Charlie, Oscar, Tango.org.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Your calls and thoughts welcome about whatever is on your mind. And before we get back to the calls, want to make sure that you know about Bitcoin.com because they want you to know about SaveAtPurse.com. Since launching in 2014, over 200,000 users have saved an average of 15% for a combined $4 million using Bitcoin, BTC, and they recently integrated Bitcoin Cash, BCH, so that you can fund your account that way. You may be aware that they previously had Shapeshift integration. They actually got rid of that, and they're allowing people to directly deposit Bitcoin, BTC, and Bitcoin Cash, BCH. And what can you do at Save At Purse? Well, you can save between 5 to 33% on things that you're going to buy anyway when you shop using SaveAtPurse.com. You add items to your cart, you fund your account, you select your discount, and you save. SaveAtPurse.com. That's Save AT Purse, all one word. It's not an email address. SaveAtPurse.com. Let's go to Sarah calling in from New Mexico. Sarah, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Yes. When you drive here in New Mexico and Albuquerque...
I've never driven in Albuquerque, Sarah.
Well, you know what? If you do, look both ways on a one-way street because they'll be going both ways.
I do that everywhere in America.
Well, it's especially true. But what's funny is that they're actually going to turn that one-way street into a two-car lane street, which is kind of peculiar because they're already doing two ways on the one-way street.
Okay.
Hold on. Hold on.
So
they're
it's a one-way
turning
street.
a one-way street into a two-way street, but people are driving both ways on the one-way street before it's a two-way street?
Well, that's how they drive here. I was told that when you go into a one-way street, look both ways because there'll be drivers going both ways anyways.
Well,
because the drivers are here, they just, break all the traffic laws. Like I found
all of them?
They break off stop signs.
All drivers break all the laws?
Well, I used to live near a four-way stop sign, and I found
remember.
Like a stop sign. Well, they had 2 car wrecks, like 2 o'clock in the morning. I heard of 2 booms in the last 6 years.
Right.
And they don't want a stop sign there. They just break it off and they just stick it on a road. They stuck one in front of my bush.
Hold on. Who stuck the stop sign in your bush?
It's interesting because the only reason we're laughing is because we've been discussing words you cannot say on radio, and that just came out kind of awkward.
So, hold on, Sarah, who put the stop sign in the bushes? Was it the DOT? Was it just some random driver? You think a random driver did it? Like, I'm really confused here. And if it's one-way streets, why is there a four-way stop sign on one-way streets?
No one knows.
They want to turn this one-way street into a 2-car lane because they're speeding. They're supposed to do 30 miles per hour.
Okay.
None of this is making any sense.
Quiet, Darryl. We're almost getting to the bottom of this. I can feel it. Within the next 3 to 4 hours, we're going to figure this out.
I'm still trying to figure if it's a one-way street and you say people are speeding, so therefore we're going to turn it into a two-way street. Are they widening the street?
So they're going to make another lane. You didn't actually say it was going into a two-way street. You said they were adding a lane. Does that mean that there'll now be 2 lanes going one way?
Well, there's 1 car lane going one way, the other one car going the other way.
She said it's going to be a two-way.
Okay, so they are turning it into a two-way street.
Right, so are they removing a sidewalk to add a lane? I'm trying to figure out, because generally the one-way streets around here are narrow, and the reason they're one way is because it's not wide enough for traffic to go both ways.
That's pretty much it.
Well, right now there's 3 car lanes going one way, and they drive like they're on a freeway, and they have the demolished side of the homes with the kid's bedroom in it, and they just go hog wild crazy if there's 3 car lanes going one way.
I've never been anywhere that had a one-way.
Never
been anywhere that had a one-way road with 3 lanes in it.
I've been places where it's like a divided road with 3 going each way, and if you think, and Sarah, thank you for the very confusing call.
Just got to rent a car and go to Albuquerque to see this wonder of engineering. I imagine it just must be like the gods grabbed a handful of spaghetti in each hand and threw it on the ground, and then they traced it, and they traced around Sarah's house, and that's what the roads are like out there, with dead pedestrians everywhere.
Have you ever done a Google search for house in middle of street China?
No.
There are houses, because this is how wonderful they centrally plan things in China.
Right.
There are roads where they're like, oh, we want the road to go here. Oh, there's a house. Let's just build the road around it. And there are houses literally in the middle of streets. There's one spot where they were building, I think it was like a 5 or 6 lane road, and they forgot that an apartment building goes out further than all of the other buildings, and then the road just ends for like 2 or 3 of the lanes, and then it picks up on the other side.
Yeah, there's tons and tons of examples of this, and usually it has to do with the government tries to take something through eminent domain, and then the landowner fights it, and it either ties it up for a long period of time. But those things are kind of around the country, and even in the United States. I mean, there's some examples of homes that have just resisted the need.
The house that's referred to as the up house, because there was the movie made about it, the cartoon movie, where the guy didn't want to sell the house because of a shopping mall or something. And they built the shopping mall around this house.
Right. Interesting.
And so there's storefront, house, storefront. It's very, very strange. Let's go back to the phones. We've got Nathan calling in from New Mexico, listening to us on KABQ 1350. Nathan, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Hey, how are you? I'm cracking up because I'm from Albuquerque, too, and she's completely right. There is a street. 5th and 6th Street is 3 lanes, one way, and that's how it is.
And people drive both ways on the one-way street?
Well, no. So 5th Street is one way and 6th Street is one way.
Gotcha. Okay.
Each street is 3 lanes.
Interesting. Okay.
Now, she said that people drive both ways on these one-way streets. Is that accurate?
Yeah, drunk people do.
Okay.
That'll happen anywhere.
Yeah, she always calls in with, a touch of truthfulness in everything she says.
Yeah.
I've people are in New Mexico.
Hilarious.
Right. I'm sorry, go ahead.
He's hilarious. And you guys are getting... You guys get me off topic because the other thing about the houses built somewhere and they won't sell. So there's in the middle of the Hispano Cultural Center downtown.
Right.
There is a house just in the middle of this giant public complex. It's giant complex building, tiny little farmhouse.
No kidding.
Nathan, hold your thought.
Yeah.
We'll be back in moments with you and your thoughts. 855-450 free.
Ever wonder how Bitcoin and Ethereum were created? Vercel Media has helped hundreds of companies and individuals make their own cryptocurrency. Decentralized blockchain solutions are making the world more transparent and giving power back to the people. Vercel Media has helped companies raise tens of millions in the past year alone, structuring and marketing ICOs to the thirsty crypto public worldwide. Don't miss the cryptocurrency revolution. Visit vercelmedia.com, VERCEL media.com.
Most of you know that heart disease is the #1 silent killer in the U.S. What if I told you for just $54.95 a month you could fight against heart disease naturally? At Heart and Body Extract, we've been helping thousands of people get back to a healthier heart. Don't just take my word for it. Check out all of the success stories at hbextract.com or to order, call 866-295-5305. That's 866-295-5305. hbextract.com. Don't risk it when you can take charge of it.
Hi, I'm Derek J. I don't want a politician to represent me. To me, government is the idea that one group of people can coerce everyone to comply with an edict or face increasing punishments up to and including death. Despite perhaps the most noble of intentions, the best government services are a far cry from what could be provided for by voluntary interactions. Besides, the people who call themselves the government wage wars and put peaceful people in jail for crimes involving no victims. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com.
Radio is the most personal of mediums. I exist right now in your head. If you listen to Free Talk Live regularly, you know me. Free Talk Live is on more than 160 radio stations around the U.S. and has been downloaded on every continent around the world. Hundreds of thousands of listeners with ad packages from $600 a month to $6,000 a month. Imagine what we can do for your business, project, website, or idea. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Did you know we've taken our LRN.FM telephone listen line to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line? Now you can call 712-770-8447 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed. And you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 712-770-8447 and choose from the menu. 712-770-8447. On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of
where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We'll get back to the phones in just a moment. But first, I want to tell you about something that libertarians of all persuasions have wanted for a long time. I remember back at least a decade ago hearing people ask the question of where can I find a directory of businesses run by libertarians? And people have tried compiling these, and none of them have really taken off. But I think that this one, it's been around for a little over a year in its newest phase and seems to be going good, and that is liberty.menu. Liberty.menu is a tool for our community. At its core is a directory for events, businesses, digital content, and more. Listings can be rated and reviewed, and there's also a bit of a social networking aspect that allows you to connect and share with other users. Use of Liberty.menu is exclusively for individuals who reject the initiation of force and those who agree to abide by the ethics of the non-aggression principle. Chris, I know you've got at least one listing on Liberty.menu, and then there's the newest venture that you just launched.
Yeah, I was thinking about that today, Darryl, because I get a certain number of listings for the very modest amount I pay Liberty.menu. We're going to do one for Bitcoin Embassy of New Hampshire. So I'll have a second presence on there. That's going to be really cool.
And then don't forget, since you're offering various classes, you can list the classes there as well, because it's not just businesses, it's also events and more. And if you're a Free Talk Live listener, which if you're hearing my voice, that means you are, use code FTL when you sign up for an account at Liberty.menu, and you get a special Free Talk Live listener badge. Liberty.menu. Code FTL get you a Free Talk Live listener badge. Let's go back to Nathan calling in from New Mexico, actually calling in from Albuquerque, listening to KABQ 1350. Nathan, go ahead with your thoughts.
Hey, how are you? So I had a question. So first of all, it's kind of awesome. I started listening to your show a couple months ago.
Excellent.
And I had no clue that I had the same beliefs as you guys. I didn't know I was a libertarian. Even since high school and college, I was like, who are these C students with guns and billy clubs that make me do things I don't want to do? I've always thought that. And I had no idea that this was what I always heard libertarians, against abortion and blah, blah, blah. I didn't really know the truth about it until I started listening to your show.
Nice.
Excellent.
And I've actually, I live in Albuquerque. Albuquerque's great, but I've been scouring the country for a while, trying to find a place to live, with good jobs and so on and so forth. I have a family and everything. What are the logistics like of moving to New Hampshire? How's the job market? How's the cost of living? Because you guys are always talking about move to New Hampshire.
Yeah.
It's a haven for libertarians. But what's the reality like of moving there?
So a couple things. I moved from Pennsylvania. But I'll just give you a couple of the things that I noticed. The cost of living in general in New England is higher than a lot of other areas around the country. So like if you come from the South and where you're in New Mexico.
He's in Albuquerque.
Yeah, I'm in Albuquerque. I really couldn't speak to that. But the cost of living is relatively high. Despite that, our tax burden in New Hampshire is one of the lowest in the country.
Right.
So when we look at the total amount we pay for government, it's relatively low. It doesn't always feel that way because our property taxes, because we don't have a sales tax and we don't have an income tax, it feels like property taxes are a little bit high. But even with that all considered, we pay a lower footprint.
Right. So depending on what you're paying for rent in various places, a rent or a mortgage, because they've wrapped property taxes into that.
Sure.
That will be slightly higher. But from what I've found, food seems to be about, the same price.
I'd say little things that it's probably a little bit higher. And I'm just going off the top of my head. There's a lot of websites out there that will let you compare prices of individual items in individual areas. But overall, as far as the job market goes, there's a ton of tech jobs. I don't know what industry you're in, but tech
I'm actually...
Go ahead.
I'm a welder and an educator. I just started actually teaching welding
at
a local high school here. So I can go either way. And the teaching aspect of it hasn't been great for pay.
Right.
But as far as like welding and everything, it's a decent trade to be in. And I know there's probably a lot of work for that out there.
Yeah, I can't imagine that there wouldn't be a lot of work. There's always projects going on, and
I'm guessing if you know how to weld, it's probably not that difficult to learn how to do like CNC machine, and like there are factory job sorts of things.
Well, there are, but there is a fair amount of development and construction. The other thing is compared to the western states. Compared to western states, which are very large. Like if you're in the Albuquerque area, you probably work in the Albuquerque area. But here, you could be driving, an hour and a half and be working in Boston.
Right.
And that's a completely different market with completely different wages, or a few hours and you're in Connecticut, or you're in Maine, or you're in Vermont. So.
Right, and it's not quite 2 hours from where we are in southwest New Hampshire, all the way across Vermont, almost to Albany, New York.
Yeah. So
that's kind of cool. Yeah, that's really awesome.
And you can learn more if you go to move.freekeene.com. There's a lot of info about the Keene area, Keene being where we're broadcasting from. Of course, there are other parts of the state that you can wind up moving to and go to the 101 Reasons film that has 101 reasons why you might want to consider moving to New Hampshire.
That sounds amazing, and we got to get that 1% of libertarians to move there. That'd be pretty great.
Yeah. Any further thoughts there, Nathan?
No, that was it. I appreciate it, and I'm gonna keep listening to you guys every single night. I drive for Uber Eats at night, so I'm listening to you guys all night long.
Excellent. Nathan, thank you for the call. Your calls and thoughts. Welcome. 855-450 free. So, Chris, do you have that China story pulled up? If not, I do.
I do not.
All right, so let's get into it about the Chinese, what was that thing? The social credit system, where there's the update on the social credit system. Story coming from ABC, the Australian ABC, not ABC in the U.S. China is building a digital dictatorship to exert control over its 1.4 billion citizens. For some, the so-called social credit system will bring privileges. For others, punishment. Dendun Fan is very much the modern Chinese woman. A marketing professional, she is diligent and prosperous. In many ways, she is the model Chinese citizen. But she is being watched 24 hours a day. A vast network of 200 million CCTV cameras across China ensures there's no dark corner in which to hide. Every step she takes, every one of her actions, big or small, even when she thinks she can be tracked and judged, or rather, even what she thinks can be tracked and judged, and she's just fine with it. What may sound like a dystopian vision of the future is already happening in China, and it's making and breaking lives. The Communist Party calls it social credit and says it will be fully operational by 2020. Within years, an official party outline claims it will allow the trustworthy to roam freely under the heaven while making it hard for the discredited to take a single step.
Okay, just imagine that, if you will, for a second. Let's say you went through this experience. I've heard some people have gone through, what's it called? Adolescence. It's when you do stupid things.
Yes.
You screw up, and what you're faced with is, under a social credit system, not being able to be free, not to be able to do things that every other citizen can do because you screwed up. I don't know if they weight adolescent decisions into their decision making or what.
They probably do. There's more from this, plus your calls and thoughts. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live.
Does your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy? Come to Dynovite for help.
Order a 90-day supply of Dynovite.
Dynovite for life.
Pick up 2 tubes of Doggosuds.
Get the 3rd tube free.
Peppermint, tea tree, lavender, Doggosud shampoo.
Made with all-natural coconut, jojoba, aloe. Great for healthy skin and soft, shiny coats.
But no itchy, harsh chemicals.
Lather up, rinse away.
Try Doggosuds. Buy 2, get 1 free.
At Dynovite.com.
DINOVITE.com.
Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org.
Hi, I'm Dr. Bill Deagle, MD, AAEM, ACAM, A4M, of NutriMedical.com, and a consultant providing email advice free on advanced protocols for your optimized wellness and advanced technologies to heal and regenerate you. You can contact us at NutriMedical.com, that's NutriMedical.com, or 888-212-8871. You get free email starter protocols of our top medical-grade nutraceuticals, initial testing, and recommendations for your own primary doctor to do, as well as recommendations to give you an idea of a consultation and a full protocol to try to help you regenerate your tissues, heal naturally without the use of toxic polypharmacy. I can send test kits to you as well anywhere in the world and provide you recommendations for referral of specialty clinics worldwide. So contact me, Dr. Bill Deagle, at NutriMedical.com. That's NutriMedical.com, or 888-212-8871.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Lil Drums. Every bit as fun as a full-size Nestle drumstick cone and definitely cuter. Visit us at drumstick.com. Vacations are all about family time, but you don't have to leave home to have fun. Take 1 weekend a month and devote it to family activities. Pull out the board games and puzzles, serve up some treats, or have a picnic. Even without leaving home, you'll feel like you've really had some time away. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. Possibly time for you and your thoughts if you call in now to 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. Plus, we've got the Discord call-in lines. You can find those on the Discord. You can find the Discord at discord.lrn.fm. We'll get back to the Chinese social credit story here in just a moment, but want to tell you what I'm going to be doing in just over 6 weeks. We're down to 44 days and some hours before the start of the New York City Marathon. I've accepted a spot on Team Innocence Project because I'm a passionate supporter of their work. On August 24th, 1992 is when the Innocence Project was founded by Barry Scheck and Peter Neufeld, and what they thought was maybe a couple hundred cases across the country of people that were wrongly convicted where there was DNA evidence showing that they were innocent has turned into thousands of cases and a clear sign that the system needs repair. At the time, no one imagined that their vision would evolve into a national organization with the power to reform the criminal justice system just 26 years later. Since that day in August, the Innocence Project has helped free 208 people who have been wrongly convicted, and the global network of Innocence Project organizations have helped free even more. We've actually got Wrongful Conviction Day coming up on October 2nd. I've currently raised $4,500 for the Innocence Project. I want to raise $5,000 by November 1st. You can support the Innocence Project by going to run.freetalklive.com. That's run.freetalklive.com. So jumping back into the story here from ABC, which is actually the Australian ABC, not the ABC that you're aware of in the U.S. They've got the story about the social credit system, talking about one particular woman who they say is the ideal Chinese citizen, Dan Fan. She is being tracked along with other people in China by 200 million CCTV cameras across the country that ensure that every action, big and small, can be tracked and judged, and, well, oftentimes they can extrapolate what you're thinking. The Chinese Communist Party calls it social credit and says it will be fully operational by 2020, and official party outline claims, quote, it will allow the trustworthy to roam freely under heaven while making it hard for the discredited to take a single step. Social credit is like a personal scorecard for each of China's 1.4 billion citizens. In one pilot program already in place, each citizen has been assigned a score out of 800. In other programs, it's 900. Those like Dan with top citizen scores get VIP treatment at hotels and airports, cheap loans, and a fast track to the best universities and jobs. Those at the bottom can be locked out of society and banned from travel or barred from getting credit or a government job. The system will be enforced by the latest in high-tech surveillance systems as China pushes to become the world leader in artificial intelligence. Surveillance cameras will be equipped with facial recognition, body scanning, and geo-tracking to cast a constant gaze on every citizen. Smartphone apps will also be used to collect data and monitor online behavior on a day-to-day basis. Then, big data from more traditional sources like government records, including educational and medical state security assignments, and financial records, will be fed into individual scores. Trial social credit systems are now in various stages of development in at least a dozen cities across China. Several companies are working with the state to nationalize the system, coordinate and configure the technology, and finalize the algorithms that will determine the national citizen score. ABC says it's probably the largest social engineering project ever attempted, a way to control and coerce more than 1 billion people. If successful, it will be the world's first digital dictatorship. Now, Chris, you've watched Black Mirror.
I have. Every episode.
Does this sound oddly like one of the systems that they had in, say, season 3, episode 1?
I can't remember episodes by season.
So that's the one where people had the smartphone app and every interaction, 5-star, 5-star,
Right.
5-star. And then the one woman, she had a bad day. And then, oh, you're on double negative probation. And so every time she got a negative score, it just like doubled.
Yeah.
And she was no longer allowed on the airplane. She couldn't rent the car.
But this is an idea that I swear it's going to be seen in we're sort of goofing on this. People are going, well, it's China and they're communist. But, this is basically rewarding behavior that the state likes and punishing behavior that it does not like.
Right.
So this is done at various levels. I mean, you can look at Facebook and YouTube and things like that. People have been kicked off that for saying something unpopular. How long before your government starts to say, you know what, maybe we don't want anyone saying things that we don't agree with. And, you've even had our president, Donald Trump, has come along and say things like, maybe if news organizations are going to continue to be critical of me, maybe they don't deserve to have licenses. And things like
we've
that.
We've actually discussed that.
And we have, and it was really erroneous and everything. But
right, the FCC
doesn't.
One, they don't license NBC, CBS.
I understand.
CNN. Right,
yeah.
You understand, but there are a lot of people that they probably don't know this.
Right, but the point being is it likely that government may take that final step? The only thing standing between where we are today and there is the First Amendment. And do you value it? I'm asking you that. Whoever's listening right now, do you value what is supposed to be protected by the First Amendment? If you sit there and go, yeah, I should be able to say whatever I want, I agree with you. Do you support burning a flag? Do you support the KKK, that they have a right to say what they want? Do you support Antifa to say hateful things about your president? Do you support all these things that you just they drive you nuts? It just gets under your skin. But do you support people's rights to say them? And you can't have it both ways. You have it for you. It goes to everyone. If you're a Christian and you don't agree with Islam, too bad. You should allow people who worship Muhammad to have the same rights that you do as a Christian. And that's where it gets sticky. That's why democracy is complex, convoluted, and just kind of messy. I realize that we live in a constitutional republic, but democracy is
China
the word that gets
also has a constitution,
Yeah.
also a republic.
Yeah, and probably has a Bill of Rights.
Probably does.
Probably does.
I've not actually read the Chinese Constitution. I have read a good bit of the North Korean Constitution.
one. Yeah, we've discussed that before. But the point being,
where you supposedly have the right to travel in North Korea.
You do. The point being is if you're going to buy into this idea that government can protect you, can do the things that you want it to do, then our system of government doesn't always jive with that, and you have to play by the rules whether you like them or not, and some of those rules are for your own protection.
The article here continues: when social credit is fully implemented, things you put into your shopping cart could impact your social score. Buying too much alcohol might suggest dependence, lose a couple of points. But buying a pack of nappies, and I'm not sure what nappies, I don't know if that's napkins. Again,
that would be
that's
napkins,
from an Australian.
because my girlfriend says that word all the time, and it drives me nuts.
They say that might suggest responsibility and gain you a few extra points. The system will be live, so scores will update in real time. Don Don does not object to the prospect of life under the state's all-seeing surveillance network. The 36-year-old social credit, or rather the 36-year-old knows social credit is not a perfect system, but believes it's the best way to manage a complex country with the world's biggest population. She says, quote, "I think people in every country want a stable and safe society. if, as our government says, every corner of public space is installed with cameras, I'll feel safe. And that's what it's really all about, right? The feeling of safety, not actually being safe, because there's no way that any government can ensure that anybody is safe. And even in the U.S., where they write protect and serve on the side of police cars, various federal courts, all the way up to the Supreme Court, have ruled that there's no obligation that police actually protect anyone, but it's all about feeling safe.
Right.
We're out of time for tonight. We'll be back tomorrow, as we are every night of the week, and we are always online at freetalklive.com.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our website